Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I am your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today. We got the Athletics versus the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Tuesday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, right fielder for the Athletics, Lawrence Butler. And on the right, the best catcher in the game, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Homered yesterday. Hopefully he can keep that hot streak going in to tonight. Now let's go into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Athletics. Leading off for the Athletics at first base, Nick Kurtz. Batting second, catching today for the A's, Shea Langeliers. Batting third with a career day last night, 4 for 5, DHing in the 3-hole, Carlos Cortez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, left fielder, Tyler Soderstrom. Batting fifth, playing shortstop in the 5-hole, Jacob Wilson. Batting sixth, formerly of the New York Mets, second baseman Jeff McNeil. Batting seventh, playing third base, Max Muncy. Batting eighth, playing right field for the Athletics, Lawrence Butler. And batting ninth, playing center field, Zach Geloff. And on the mound for the Athletics with a 1-1 record, an ERA of 6.38, it is Jacob Lopez. And now let's get into the starting lineups for your Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners in right field, Rob Refsnyder. Batting second, DHing for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field on a 17-game on-base streak. Let's keep it moving, Julio Rodriguez. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting sixth, playing shortstop for Seattle, J.P. Crawford. Batting seventh, catching today for the Mariners, Mitch Garver. Batting eighth, playing second base, Cole Young. And batting ninth, playing third base, Leo Rivas. And on the mound for the Mariners with a 0-1 record, an ERA of 5.40, it is La Piedra Luis Castillo. Now, we know Luis Castillo and Logan Gilbert haven't been very good this season. Logan is starting to get a little bit better, but this is one of the first times that Castillo is going to go up against somebody that's got a higher ERA than himself. His ERA is 5.40. Jacob Wilson coming into the game, 6.38. So there should be enough bats, to be able to get some big hits, RBIs, and home runs for both teams. Hopefully for Luis Castillo's sake, 0 to 2 runs would be ideal. And the maximum that he would be able to give up for us, I think, to win would be 3. But let's pray it's 0 to 2. And then the bats come alive. And obviously if we can get somewhere in that 5-run, 7 to 10 hit range, that should definitely put us in a position, you would think, to compete at the end of the game. Tridents up. Let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train. And 5 to 15 subs, 63 subs to go to 23,900. And again, we ended up losing the first game. against the Rangers and putting up a donut, losing 5-0. But again, we were able to respond and end up getting the victory in Game 2 and Game 3. And we're going to have to do the same thing in this particular series. We got Luis Castillo on the bump here today. And then obviously in an early afternoon game tomorrow, we got Logan Gilbert, a.k.a. Walter, on the mound tomorrow around 1:10 Pacific. So we got to find a way to be able to win with our two worst pitchers in the starting lineup. And again, if the bats come alive, I think we should still be able to compete and get the job done. Now, we obviously know the bullpen let us down, as well as this guy right here with Dan Wilson in his decision-making. But let's make sure that it doesn't have to come down to Dan Wilson. If the bats come alive, we won't have to worry as much about who he puts in and how long he puts that certain guy in the bullpen. And hopefully Castillo pitches a gem tonight. And again, I don't expect him to get, necessarily 7 to 10 Ks. But again, it's somewhere in that 4 to 6 range, maybe a couple double plays to help him out defensively. And hopefully we get a number of home runs in this matchup, hopefully 2 or 3, to give us a chance to be able to win this game against Jacob Lopez. Tridents up. Let's go, M's. Sean in the building. What's good? Tech in the building. What's good? Hawks in the building. What's good? Logan's in the building. Daniel is here. Michelle is here. Bash is going to get us off to a good start with a $2 holla. And it's always good, to get that dono train started early and often. Appreciate you. $2 holla. 98 to go to hit the dono goal. Dave in the building. What's good? Let's get it, baby. Marine Bean, the regular, in the building. Let's get it, baby. Luis Castillo on the mound. Again, 0-1 record, ERA of 5.40, but he is going against someone that's got a higher ERA, 6.38. So we have to find a way. And we know, sometimes we do go against guys that have high ERAs and we don't play well, and sometimes when we go against lefties, it's a struggle. There's no doubt about that, but we have to find a way after losing the game with Dan Wilson in the bullpen last night. Obviously, we know Legomina got sent down to AAA earlier this morning. And again, we have to be able to figure out, what are we going to be doing with Matt Brash? If we're going to be playing him early, we have to consider maybe playing him 2 innings once in a while, like Edward Bizardo, but everyone else just simply won. First pitch for Luis Castillo to Nick Kurtz, low and away with that sinker, 94 miles an hour, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch. Big swing and a miss. 4-seam fastball there by Luis Castillo. 1 ball and 1 strike to Nick Kurtz. And he's second on the team with 3 home runs. Shea Langoliers leads the team with 7 homers. So we have to be very careful on how we pitch at the top of the order, as well as Carlos Cortez, who had a career day yesterday going 4 for 5. So if we can retire 1, 2, and 3, Kurtz, Langoliers, and Cortez, that definitely is going to put us in a good position. And again, Brent Rooker is still hurt, so we won't have to worry about him. 1-1 pitch is inside. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to Nick Kurtz. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by La Piedra. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. And again, as long as we can keep the hits being singles and doubles rather than home runs from Kurtz, Langoliers, and Cortez, like last night, it definitely will give us a better chance to compete. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. Come on, Castillo. Well, it's not like we put up a 0 yesterday, Bash. I mean, we put up 4 runs, but again, we want to make sure it's not in Dan Wilson's hands. And again, putting Ferrer in and then Langoliers when he could have, Ferrer and then Legomina, where we could have had Brash for 2 innings. And, depending on where we go from there, there's simple things that, he could do to give us a better chance to compete, but it just seems like when it comes to the bullpen, when you only have 2 guys that you can trust, obviously with Kurtz with the walk here, with Brash and Bizardo, it makes it challenging, on who you bring in, because I don't really have a whole lot of faith in anybody but Bizardo and Brash. Runner goes. And Kurtz gets into second base with a stolen bag with no attempt. But it's a combination of things. We definitely need to be able to score more runs, but again, that was on Dan Wilson in the bullpen last night. Now, if we ended up putting up like a 0 or a 1, then yeah, but we put up 4, and we had a nice rally with Cole Young and Leo Rivas to be able to get us that extra run when we were down 6-3 to get it to 6-4, but, not enough. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss by Shea Langoliers, again leading the team with 7 homers. You can't really pitch him down the middle too often. He will make you pay. But again, 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. When we hit that number, more times than not, if the pitching is decent, we usually are in games or win games. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Langoliers. Nice pitch there by La Piedra, Luis Castillo, getting a punch out on their best hitter in 2026. Nice job, Luis Castillo. Keep it up. Down goes Langoliers on 3 pitches. Next up is Carlos Cortez, who had a homer and had a career day against the Mariners, the best day in his career, 4 for 5. We cannot allow that to happen here tonight. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. First pitch, fouls that one off. And it goes to behind the plate, slightly into left field, 0-1 count. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Oh, 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Carlos Cortez. That's awesome, man. Long drive. Usually it takes me about 3.5 hours from where I live, but I hope it ends up being a fantastic experience for you. And again, anytime you can end up going to a game, it definitely feels like home. And again, if you're a fan of the team, not going to be a better experience than going to a Mariner game. 1-1 pitch, in there for a strike to Cortez. Slider, 85 miles an hour, paints that corner high and away beautifully. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second. Nick Kurtz with 1 out. Castillo on the mound, Cortez in the box. And hopefully Luis will only give up 0 to 2 runs, 3 at the most. Because especially with our bullpen woes, we bring in one guy, whether it be, Legomina, even though he got sent down to AAA. It's like you can bring in Cooper Criswell or, Cole Wilcox, Legomina, Jose Ferrer. And it's like, man, you just really hope that they do well, but you don't really have faith. And again, Bizzardo, Brash, Spire, we're good to go. Other than that, definitely is a question mark. 1-2 pitch. And Cortez pops it up in foul territory. And it goes into the second row. And that Athletic fan and Mariner fan battle for that ball. And the A's fan ends up scooping that one up. Great souvenir for him. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Carlos Cortez. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's hard to get baseballs. Obviously, if you're trying to get a home run ball, obviously, depending on where you're sitting, obviously, there's going to be certain advantages as well as foul balls off first and third base. But I hope you end up having a great time with the fam, and I hope you get a ball. 1-2 pitch to Cortez. Little dribbler towards first base and foul. I've been incredibly lucky. When I've, gone to games, I've only been to 9 or 10 games and I've gotten 3 baseballs, which is kind of ridiculous if you really think about it. But I did get 2, obviously, PCL balls for the Portland Beavers, the AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins here in the late 80s, early 90s. So that kind of set the tone for, me to be a honey badger at the games. But I definitely will not, knock anybody over. I definitely won't steal one from a kid. I won't knock anyone's beer over. I'll do it the right way, and that's the way it should be if you're an adult. Pitch fouled off towards third base there by Cortez. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second. Nick Kurtz with 1 out. Long at bat here for Carlos Cortez, and he's definitely feeling himself, going 4 for 5 last night. 1-2 pitch, slow dribbler towards first, and foul. Change up 88 miles an hour there by Luis Castillo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and 1 out. Top of the first inning, 0-0 here early between the Athletics and the Mariners. And this is going to be pitch number 9 against Carlos Cortez. So as long as we can take care of Kurtz, Langoliers, and Cortez, which we weren't able to do yesterday, it'll definitely give us a higher percentage chance to win this. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And this is the Luis Castillo that we've been waiting for. Nice job, La Piedra, striking out Langoliers, striking out Carlos Cortez, who both homered, as well as Nick Kurtz last night. Great job early, setting the tone. Next up in the 4-hole, left fielder Tyler Soderstrom. And luckily, we don't have to deal with Brett Rooker, but on the flip side, we don't have Brendan Donovan. So it's kind of a push, but we definitely would love to have Brendan Donovan at third. And Hopefully the groin will heal and we'll get him back sooner than later, but he will miss the next series against the Cardinals, and that's a damn shame. I was really looking forward to him playing his former team, because anytime you play your former team, you usually go off, and unfortunately, we're going to have to beat the Cardinals without Brendan Donovan. Setting up in the no-fly zone, you'll have a chance. Absolutely. First pitch to Soderstrom, crushes it into right field, and that's going to score a run. And Refsnyder is there in right field, and Kurt's not that fast, obviously, but being able to scamper home 1-0 A's. Now, if we would have gotten a better throw by Refsnyder there, we would have been able to get Soderstrom out at second, but the throw was a little off. Nice job there by Soderstrom. And again, we can't give up too many runs. That's already one early here by Castillo. It has to be, realistically, he's got an ERA of 5.40. We have to hope that it ends up being 3 at the most. And the bats have to be able to make up for some of these RBIs and home runs. 1-0 Athletics. Top of the first inning, runner at second, Soderstrom with 2 outs. First pitch to Jacob Wilson, fouls that one off. Sinker 96 miles an hour. 0-1 count. And again, a very crafty hitter in Jacob Wilson. You got to be very careful on how you pitch to him. 263 average, 2 homers, and 10 ribbies so far in 2026. And on deck is Jeff McNeil. So remember, this isn't Brian Wu, George Kirby, or Emerson Hancock when he's rolling. This is Luis Castillo and Logan Gilbert on the bump tomorrow. So chances are they're going to give up, realistically, probably 3 to 5 runs each tomorrow, unless Logan ends up just getting extremely hot in an early afternoon start, which is possible. We assume that Castillo will pitch worse than Gilbert, but again, you never know. Sometimes guys, give up runs in the first few innings and then settle in, and that's what we have to pray and hope for with Luis Castillo. And if it's just going to be one of those games where both teams go off and it's an 8-7 final, then obviously we need to be that team that ends up getting the victory if both teams are going to rake against poor pitching, which could potentially happen here tonight. Pitch fouled off there by Jacob Wilson, high and inside. Sinker, 95 miles an hour again. No balls and 2 strikes to Jacob Wilson. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Castillo to Wilson. Come on, Luis. We need the best version possible of you here today. Castillo on the mound, Jacob Wilson in the box. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. There we go. So even though he did give up the RBI and gave up hits, right, to Kurtz and Soderstrom, how often do you get 3 punch-outs out of Castillo this season in 2026? Fucking never. So again, and he did it against Langoliers, who's their best hitter, 7 home runs. Did it against Cortez, who went 4 for 5 last night, and then gets Jacob Wilson there. So, there's a plus and a minus. Obviously, getting down 1-0 is not ideal, but getting 3 punch-outs from Castillo, pacing himself for about 10 to 12 Ks, which we don't know if he'll continue this hot streak, but you have to look at the positives. Even with some of the negatives, we're down 1-0. Now let's see if we can make up for that run, that RBI that Soderstrom got on Castillo. And again, we have to be able to look at it through, that set of, positives and negatives. Let's go to the bottom of the first and see who's up next here for Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Leading off for the Mariners in right field, Rob Refsnyder. And if he's going to swing at the first pitch for the fences and go yard, I don't mind. He might be the only guy that I think that I wouldn't mind him trying to go for that first pitch down the middle strike if, that ends up being what Lopez throws. Because if he ends up getting it right down the middle, Refsnyder potentially could homer and tie this game up 1-1, and it would take the momentum back from the Athletics. Batting second, DHing today for Seattle, the big dumper, Cal Raleigh, who homered yesterday for home run number 3, and definitely nice to be able to see Cal getting going. And batting third with only 1 home run, who's definitely overdue. He's got a 17-game on-base streak, which is one of the best in MLB, and in the last 11 games, he's batting .317, Julio Rodriguez. And on the mound for the Athletics, a pitcher worse than Castillo, 1-1 record though, ERA of 6.38. Let's make him pay, Jacob Wilson. Or excuse me, Jacob Lopez. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Anytime you got two guys that have an ERA above 5, it could end up being one of those games, where we get RBIs ourselves and we end up getting big home runs. Even though we don't have Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone in the lineup early and Brendan Donovan is injured, still could get to 5 to 7 runs today. And it just depends if we can get off to a good start in the first 3 innings. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Cutter 87 miles an hour there by Lopez. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. First pitch was a strike right down the middle. He should have probably swung at it, and who knows what would have happened. But we got a 1 ball, 1 strike count here to Rob Refsnyder. 1-1 pitch, a little dribbler towards third base, and foul. Slider 76 miles an hour there by Lopez. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Yeah, and the reason we haven't called up Colt Emerson yet is because he's got a minor injury. So hopefully when he's healthy, then at that point, we'll be able to call him up hopefully before June, like last year when we did with Cole Young. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour there by Jacob Lopez. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Come on, Rob. Take the walk or try to get a single here. Let's go. 2-2 pitch from Lopez, high and away. Good patience there by Rob Refsnyder. Cutter 88 miles an hour, missing by a few inches. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Rob Refsnyder. Because if Rob can get on, who knows if Cal or Julio will homer, and that could definitely change the tempo and the momentum of this game. 3-2 pitch, and he pops it up. Should be a routine play here for the Athletics for 1 away. And pops it up, and that is 1 down. Down goes Refsnyder. Next up is the big dumper, DHing today, Cal Raleigh. And again, 3 home runs for the season. Started off incredibly slow, still not where we want him to be, but hopefully he'll be able to bring a little magic in the box, and hopefully he'll be able to go yard here tonight. Come on, Cal. He's going to have to start off batting right-handed. And let's see if we end up getting a righty pitcher later for him to go left. First pitch in there right down the middle for a strike. 0-1 count. Cutter 88 miles an hour there by Jacob Lopez. Come on, Cal. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting average versus lefties, 176, which is 29th on base, 29th with 266, slugging percentage, 30th. So not good from the right side. But again, that will get better as the season goes along. 1-1 pitch, pops it up. And it's on the borderline of foul territory. And Wilson comes over with the catch, and that is 2 away. Next up in the 3-hole with a 17-game on-base streak, it is Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. We need you. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Athletics. .222 average, 1 homer and 7 ribbies. He's definitely overdue with him and Mitch Garver, as well as J.P. Crawford, and then obviously, Leo Rivas, at some point was going to homer. We just don't know when. First pitch takes a strike, looking right down the middle. 4-seam fastball by Lopez. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch to Rodriguez. Big swing and a miss. Changeup, 86 miles an hour by Jacob Lopez. Coming into the game with a 1-1 record. ERA of 6.38. We have to make him pay. Julio in the box. Lopez on the mound. Bottom of the first inning, 1-0 A's. Now, we're definitely going to need an offensive battle today and tomorrow, more than likely to win. 0-2 pitch, high and inside. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour. High and tight, missing by Lopez. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the first, 1-0 A's. Soderstrom double to right, Kurt scoring from second, making it 1-0 Athletics. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Good patience there by Julio as that goes into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Got to be patient, especially with Julio. You don't want him to rush. 2-2 pitch, There we go. Good patience there by Julio. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. Because if you get guys to rush, like Cal and Julio and Naylor and Randy, it's just going to be strikeout after strikeout after strikeout if they swing at the first 2 pitches, unless they can end up getting a hold of something. But against lefty pitching, it's challenging. 3-2 pitch to Julio. There we go. And again, we want hits from Julio too, right? But again, being patient, something you're seeing a little bit more out of Julio. And again, 17-game on-base streak. He's able to get on base in this game as well. Nice job by Julio Rodriguez forcing the walk. And now let's see if we can get an extended leg kick out of Josh Naylor and see if we can get a single, double, or home run out of Nails. Let's go, Naylor. Marine Bean says we're at 37, 63 to 100, 150 in the room. First pitch from Lopez to Naylor, low and away. Slider, 76 miles an hour. By Lopez, 1-0 count. Good patience there by Naylor in the box. I wouldn't mind some bunts, some stolen bags, playing a little small ball, but definitely would look forward to, a game if we could end up having a high-scoring affair. Like if both teams, were to get over 5, obviously we would prefer the Athletics to get less than that, but with Castillo on the mound and with our bullpen being shaky, you don't really know what version of the Mariners you're going to get day in and day out. 1-0 pitch. Low and away. Good eye there by Naylor. And if this was Naylor early in the year, it would be an 0-2 count. He would have swung at both of those pitches. Back-to-back sliders, 76 miles an hour, missing the zone. Great patience here by Nails. 2 balls and no strikes to Josh Naylor. 2-0 pitch. High and away. And are we going to get a mini meltdown here early? I like this. Cutter, 85 miles an hour, high and away to Josh Naylor. And again, we used to be pretty good a couple years ago with 2 outs, but again, this year it's been a little challenging. But if we can find a way to get a rally with 2 outs here at the bottom of the first, it would be fantastic. 3-0 pitch, high and away. Ooh. And Naylor thought that was a walk, threw the bat down. And if I'm looking on the pitch graph, it's close. I mean, it's right on the corner, maybe a little piece, potentially in there for a strike. I don't think I would challenge that though. 3 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. Time is called. Yeah, but again, if you've been a Mariner fan for a long period of time, Jace, or if you're a newbie, again, we had a streak of 20 years of not making the playoffs and had no hope of getting there. And we would still watch games from beginning to end. So again, if you're a fan of this team, you have to be very mentally strong. It's not for the faint of heart. 3-1 pitch from Lopez. And, that one looked outside. And Naylor was making his way to first base there again. And I would challenge this one. This one looks like it's a little bit more outside in the pitch graph. Let's see if we're going to win the call. And there we go. Great decision by Naylor. If he would have challenged the previous one, he would have lost. But just enough. 0.2. But based off the pitch graph, it looked like that would be the one to ABS challenge. Nice job by Josh Naylor. And now we got runners at first and second with 2 outs. Great job, Seattle. And now we have to pray that Randy Arozarena can get a single, double, home run, or end up taking a walk or get hit by a pitch, as long as he doesn't get hurt. We know Ty France, was the guy that got hit the most on the team. Now Randy is typically that guy. And Randy has, come up a little short, little slow dribbler, toe tap to third, and we leave 2 stranded, and Randy ends up not getting the job done again. But hopefully at some point, Randy will be a little bit more patient in the box. I was hoping Randy was going to get to pitch 4, pitch 5, and usually that's when he ends up, having his best swings. But he goes for the first pitch from Lopez, and he grounds out at third. We leave 2 stranded. End of the first inning, 1-0 A's. And even though we didn't score in that inning, just getting guys on base is a good sign. Obviously we know Lopez's ERA is very high, and it's very easy, to get negative on all the things that go wrong with the Mariners, but it's not going to make things get better. We can acknowledge things that are going wrong, but we have to be able to keep positive to the best of our ability. We already have to deal with a shaky bullpen and Dan Wilson managing this team. We just got to hope eventually they're going to be able to break through, and I believe they will. All right, let's go to the top of the second inning and see who is up next here for the Athletics. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the A's in the 6th hole, the former New York Met second baseman Jeff McNeil. Batting second in the 7th hole, third baseman Max Muncy. And batting third in the 8th hole, right fielder Lawrence Butler. And on the mound for the Mariners, coming into the game with a 0-1 record, ERA of 5.40, it is Luis Castillo. Gave up, obviously, a base knock, there to Soderstrom, after Kurtz ended up getting walked. He comes home from second, and it ends up being 1-0 A's here early. Still plenty of time to be able to turn this ship around. And I appreciate the kind words. We have to have, someone representing this team in the most, positive way. And again, it gives us a little bit of therapy at times to watch games together. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. And now we're at 62 subs to 23,900. Not everything is going to go our way. But again, obviously no Mariner fan, hardcore or fair weather, and a hard hit ball that goes into right field to Rob Refsnyder. And that's another base knock there for the A's by Jeff McNeil. But, again, no one expected after going to the ALCS against the Blue Jays to start off 10-14. But again, we haven't proven that we can go to back-to-back years in the playoffs. We made it, obviously, in 2022, right? But then we didn't make it in 2023. Had an amazing year, in 2025. And now we're struggling in 2026. But I still think it's, plenty of time to be able to turn it around. And not only are we doing bad, everyone is doing bad in the AL West, and for the most part in the American League. So yeah, it's kind of shitty right now, but guess what? It's really shitty for the rest of the teams in the American League West also. So that has to give a little bit more of a vibe and a positive attitude if you know that. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. Did he go around? No, he did not. 2 balls and no strikes to Max Muncy. Now, if the Athletics or the Rangers, are sitting at, some crazy ass record, where they're, 18-7, and we're looking up, at the, standings, and that's a different story. But, we're only a couple of, games back, 2.5, with everyone doing kind of crappy in the AL West. So 2-0 pitch, low and away, sinker 96 miles an hour. They're on the corner. 3 balls and no strikes to Max Muncy. And if that was a pitch that Castillo would challenge, I think that would get overturned, but I don't think he's going to be challenging too much. That's going to be more on Mitch Garver. 3-0 pitch to Muncy, right down the middle, 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour by Luis Castillo. 3 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and no outs. And remember, we got our 2 worst pitchers on the mound with Castillo and obviously Gilbert tomorrow. So we definitely are going to need the bats to win it for us. 3-1 pitch, fouls that one off with a sinker, 95 miles an hour. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Max Muncy. Yeah, NL Central is insane. Like, if you look at the National League, holy hell, it's a night and day difference compared to the American League. And look how many wins, all those teams in the Central have in the National League. It's insane. You already know the Dodgers and the Padres are going to be good, obviously in the NL West, but in the Central, it always is usually close, year in and year out with a lot of the teams, more times than not, at least in the first half of the season. And then you get a couple teams kind of breaking away. But again, I don't think anyone anticipated the Reds, being as good as they are early on. But again, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Pitch fouled off, high and away there by Max Muncy. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and no outs. 3-2 pitch. Fouls it back to the T-Mobile bricks by Muncy. Count still is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Max Muncy. I mean, if you're a fan of any team in Oregon and Washington, it's always, going to be stressful. It's never, ever going to be easy. 3-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Muncy. Another punch out there by Luis Castillo. And that is 1 away. Nice job there by Luis Castillo, bringing a little bit of electricity. I mean, he is giving up hits. Remember, he does have a 5.40 ERA and, has been the worst pitcher besides Logan Gilbert as far as starters. So We just got to hope that he can find a way. First pitch, Butler fouls it back to the T-Mobile bricks. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Yeah, that's the one instance, but no one anticipated them making the Super Bowl and winning it, within the first, month and a half of the season. Obviously you hope that you can do well in that division, in the NFC West. But then after probably around week 10, week 11, then you started to feel like this team could go all the way, and they certainly did. But again, it's not like you're going to have that type of circumstance all the time. It's like, the Huskies going to the Natty, a couple years ago, even though they weren't able to beat Michigan. Ducks have been pretty consistent the last couple years. Obviously the Kraken are still trying to figure things out. The Blazers are in the playoffs going against the Spurs, but they're not deep enough without Dame in the lineup. And then you got with soccer with the Sounders and the Timbers. So there's a number of different teams, that are out there with basketball, baseball, football, soccer, that are going to be competitive. But again, not everything is going to turn out the way that it did for the Seahawks in their 50th anniversary, which was definitely amazing, but it's not like it's going to happen every single year. 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Lawrence Butler. 2-2 pitch, fouled off there by Butler, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Butler. Two pitch, big swing and a miss, and another punch out there by Luis Castillo. So even though, he did give up the early run, I mean, let's be honest, how often, this year has Castillo had 5 Ks at this point? I mean, he's pacing for 10 to 12, and that would definitely be, his high. But again, we just can't give up too many RBIs and too many home runs. And the offense, like we mentioned earlier, they have to do their job. And again, they haven't done it just yet, but there's still plenty of time. 5 Ks already for Luis Castillo. Little dribbler by Geloff. Throw to first. And look at the tag. Did he get him? Yes, he did. Josh Naylor. Beautiful. And again, Geloff with a little dribbler there, but J.P. Crawford doing J.P. Crawford things, and a nice job there by Josh Naylor by getting his foot on the bag, or at least he tried to initially, but then decided, wait, I'm not going to be able to get my foot there, so he just decides to tag him with the glove with about 2 feet off the bag and ends up getting out number 3. Nice job there by Josh Naylor defensively, and it's always nice to be able to have a first baseman that you can trust, not only defensively, but in the box more times than not. Nice job by Nails. And again, we had Ty France and a few other guys at first, but definitely this is the best first baseman we've had in a minute. Nice job by Naylor. Let's go to the bottom of the second inning and let's tie this game up or take the lead. Next up for the Mariners in the 6th hole, shortstop J.P. Crawford. Batting second in the 7 hole, catching today, it's Mitch Garver. And batting third in the 8 hole, second baseman Cole Young. Nice effort by Cole Young and Leo Rivas late in the bottom of the 9th to end up getting that big RBI by Rivas to score Young from first. And again, we didn't end up winning the game, but hopefully that Uncle Mo and that momentum will cash in here early for Young and Rivas. Trident's up, let's go M's. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 59 likes, 41 to get to 100. And we're at 2 on the Dono train, 98 to go. First pitch in there to J.P. Crawford from Jacob Lopez. Four-seam fastball, 89 miles an hour, right down the middle, 0-1 count. And again, Lopez with an ERA of 6.38. We have to, get some damage on him, And again, they've been walking a lot of guys in this organization as well. So there really is no point, on trying to get for that first pitch. Let it get to pitch 4, pitch 5. Let's get his pitch count up. And then eventually that pitch that you want right down the middle, if you're hoping it's going to be pitch 1, if you wait and get it to pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6, you'll be able to get that same exact pitch and maybe even better. 0-2 pitch, low and away, slider 76 miles an hour. There by Lopez. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. I mean, especially if you're going against a shitty pitcher that's been walking a lot of people, this organization, you don't want to bail him out with everybody swinging on the Mariners on the first 2 pitches. Little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first, and that is 1 away. J.P. Crawford grounds out there to Jacob Wilson. And hopefully J.P. will get going later in the game. Next up is Mitch Garver. Garver and Rivas are definitely due for a home run, as well as Julio Rodriguez and J.P. Crawford. And you could probably say Randy Arozarena as well. So hopefully we'll be able to get a few of those before the game is over. First pitch to Mitch Garver, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 91 miles an hour by Lopez, 1-0 count. And again, the more times that you wait longer in the count, you have a better chance of getting on base with getting hit by a pitch or getting walked. And again, obviously getting singles, doubles, triples, and home runs is great, but sometimes, small ball, bunting and, kind of working the count. Sometimes things, have to be adjusted, especially when you don't really know what version of the Mariners are going to show up. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle. Slider 77 miles an hour by Lopez. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. Four-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour. There by Garv. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Lopez to Garver. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Little dribbler up the middle by Garver. A little deflection. Run, Garv, run. Yes. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Nice job by Mitch Garver. And again, take anything that you can get. If somebody ends up getting a deflection, off a pitcher or off a player, any way possible, find a way. Nice job by Mitch Garver. Next up is Cole Young. On deck is Leo Rivas. And let's see if that momentum from last night in the bottom of the ninth will carry over here. First pitch is low and away. Slider, 76 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And again, the more patient the Mariner hitters will be, the, higher probability for us to be able to tie this game up or to be able to take the lead early in the game. 1-0 pitch, Cole Young with a little slow dribbler. Could this be a double play? Throw to first? No, throw to first. And they end up getting the fielder's choice there at second. Out is Garver, and Young is safe at first. And again, a lot of these slow dribblers, we got to find a few of them to get past the infield. All right, let's see if Leo can get a big RBI like he ended up doing last night. Top of the second, ended up not gaining anything for the A's. And let's see if in the bottom of the second, we can tie this game up. Let's go, Leo Rivas. Still looking for his first home run of the season. First pitch, low and away. Cutter, 87 miles an hour there by Lopez. 1 ball and no strikes with a runner at first. Cole Young with 2 outs. 1-0 Athletics. And obviously giving up a run early in the game is not ideal, but Castillo has pitched well. He's definitely overachieved with 5 Ks with only 39 pitches, 28 strikes. So far, as far as his K number is concerned, this might end up being his best start. And we don't want to put up a 0, when he's actually pitching well for the first time this year. So again, it's always one thing or another with this team, but we still got a chance. There's no doubt about that. 2-0 pitch. High and away. And we got a 3 ball, no strike count here for Leo Rivas. Cutter, slider, four-seam fastball, outside of the zone. And let's see if we can end up getting a base knock here. And obviously, when you got a 3-0 count, you know, most guys have the green light. But again, we'll see if we can force the walk here. 3-0 pitch. And ends up being inside on the line for a strike. Four-seam fastball, 88 miles an hour. And I would not challenge that. Looks like there's just enough of the ball there on the line. 3 balls and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. 3-1 pitch from Lopez. Right down the middle and fouls it back to the T-Mobile bricks. Count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Come on, Rivas. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Got to win today, got to win tomorrow, just like with the Rangers series. Lost game 1, won game 2 and 3. And again, we go on the road to face the Cardinals, and we're not a very good team on the road. We're one of the worst in MLB, so got to get these wins. 3-2 pitch, and Rivas with a ball hit to shallow center field, and that will be out number 3. We leave one stranded there at first. End of the second inning, 1-0 Athletics. Castillo finally doing his job, but none of the batters being able to cash in just yet. End of the second inning, 1-0 A's. Let's see who's up next here for the Athletics as we go to the top of the third. Next up, for the Athletics, 0-for-0 with a run and a base on ball. Number 2 on the team with homers with 3. One of the up-and-coming studs in the MLB. Had a breakout season last year, Nick Kurtz. Batting second, 0-for-1 with a K. Leading the team with 7 homers, Shea Langoliers. Can't pitch him right down the middle with Kurtz or they will make you pay. And batting third, having a 4-for-5 day, a career day yesterday against the Mariners, Carlos Cortez. 0-for-1 with a K, and hopefully we'll be able to get him to go 0-for-2. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. End of the second inning, 1-0 Athletics. Xavier in the building. What's good, brother? All right, we're at 64 likes, 36 to 100, and we got an early game tomorrow in the afternoon, so plan accordingly. 1:10 Pacific with Logan Gilbert on the mound. And then obviously we have Thursday off, but there is the NFL draft, and depending on my schedule, we may end up doing that here on the channel, or I might just spend time with my pup. I haven't really decided yet, and then we get back to business, obviously on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Cardinals on the road. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. First pitch from Castillo to Nick Kurtz. Takes a strike, looking right down the middle. Slider, 83 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And Castillo's got to be very, very careful going right down the middle to the first 3 batters in the lineup. 0-1 pitch. Low and at the knees. Slider, 84 miles an hour by Luis Castillo, pitching his best game so far, I think, this year. I mean, especially with the K numbers. He's already got 5. Obviously, having the game be at 0-0 right now, or the Mariners being ahead 1-2-0 would have been great. But, sometimes you just got to be patient for that right time to come. 1-1 pitch, and he crushes that one into left field, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Luis Castillo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the third inning, 1-0 A's. But Castillo's got 5 Ks, which is very good for him considering his struggles in 2026. 1-2 pitch, and he goes around and he gets Kurtz to strike out. My God, let's go. Where has this version of La Piedra been? Nice job. Down goes Nick Kurtz. And Luis Castillo with another punch out, number 6. I mean, we haven't really had too many opportunities to cheer for Castillo. Little dribbler up the middle by Shea Langoliers. Cole Young, throw to first. Got him. Man, Cole Young is a great defender out there. It's been a minute where we've been able to have someone so trustworthy, at second base with shortstop J.P. Crawford, and eventually that'll be Colt Emerson. Nice job by the Seattle Mariner defense. Beautiful. Down goes Shea Langoliers, and again, I always get nervous when he's in the box. Next up, in the 3-hole, Carlos Cortez. Mike in the building, what's good? First pitch, low and at the knees, slider 85 miles an hour there by Castillo, 1-0 count. But again, the Mariners are always in this kind of revolving door where, one thing ends up, being bad, but then a couple other things end up being good. And then once we end up, fixing the problem, like let's say the hitting, then other things start going wrong. So again, hopefully we can put it together where Castillo's great, which he has been so far. The hitting eventually, comes alive. And then the defense obviously is going to do their thing with the bullpen. And we don't have to worry about Dan making a mistake in the bullpen. 2-0 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle, four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, there by Luis Castillo. 2 balls and 1 strike from Carlos Cortez in the box. 2-1 pitch, pops that one behind the plate. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, there by Luis Castillo. 2 balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 2 outs. And we have to be able to score runs for, La Piedra. You can't have them end up getting 10 to 12 Ks and then we end up, getting shut out this game. We have to make sure that we're, getting the job done, especially when someone that's been asked this year and we actually can, step up for him. Pitch fouled off there by Cortez. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Cortez. Top of the 3rd inning, 1-0 Athletics. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 2-2 pitch. And a little slow dribbler there. Rivas, throw to first. And that is out number 3. Luis Castillo with the 2-hitter so far, but the best part is his Ks. He's got 6. 2.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk. And normally he has a shitload of walks, right? Normally it's 6 walks and maybe 1 K. But right now he's got 1 walk and 6 Ks. And the best part, only 50 pitches, 36 strikes. So again, and we know how shaky our bullpen has been. And normally, Castillo might end up getting pulled in like the, 3rd, 4th, 5th inning. At least this year. And this might be the first game where we can actually have him maybe for 6-7 innings to kind of help out the bullpen. And hopefully we're smart and we can go, with like a Bizzardo, Brash, Mooney, to kind of end the game, even though I know some of those guys have been getting quite a bit of reps. But, we want to definitely stay away from some of those shaky guys in the pen. Let's go to the bottom of the 3rd inning and see who's up next year for the Mariners. Let's tie this game up or take the lead. Next up, 0 for 1, playing right field, Rob Refsnyder. Batting second, 0 for 1, DHing big dumper Cal Raleigh. And batting third, 0 for 0 with a base on ball, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And obviously, going against left-handed pitching hasn't been ideal for us either. Obviously, with righties, we play much better. And again, with no Dominic Canzone and Luke Raley in the lineup because the starter is a lefty, hopefully they'll have a righty come in and we can see a little bit of Luke and maybe Canzone later in the game. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 62 subs away from 23,900. 162 to 24,000. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch to Refsnyder, and he ends up hitting it into shallow center field. And again, if anyone is allowed to swing on the first pitch, it's Refsnyder. He's the type of guy, he got his first hit, that ended up being a pitch right down the middle and he homered. And I was hoping that he was going to swing at the first pitch in his first at bat. And I think that this would have happened, but he has to wait to pitch or at bat number 2, swings at the first pitch and ends up getting a base knock in shallow center field. Nice job by Rob Refsnyder. So again, you have to kind of understand who you're working with, and each player is going to be a little bit different, but this might be the only guy where it's acceptable for him to swing at the first pitch there. Nice job. Next up is Cal Raleigh. First pitch is high and away, sinker, 91 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Bottom of the third inning, runner at first, Rob Refsnyder with no outs. Let's see if we can cash in this inning and tie it up or take the lead. One-zero pitch, high and away. Cutter, 87 miles an hour there by Lopez. 2 balls and no strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. 3 home runs on the year, but definitely has been struggling from the right side of the plate. Let's go, big dumper. Two-zero pitch, high and away. I'm not sure if that was a strike. That one looked like it was a little outside, and it was. If Cal challenges this will be a 3-0 count, but I don't think we're going to get a challenge here with the ABS. 2 balls and 1 strike. Should be 3 balls and no strikes. 2-1 pitch from Lopez, and Cal pops it up, and foul. Cutter, 86 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Jacob Lopez on the mound. Big dumper in the box. Let's go, Cal. Got to find a way. Two-two pitch. And Cal fouls that one off into right field. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour there by Jacob Lopez. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. 2-2 pitch to Cal Raleigh. And a hard hit ball towards left field. And it gets through past the third baseman. And there you go. That's what we need Cal to do. Not every swing has to be a home run, moonshot swing. Otherwise it's going to be, a home run or like a strikeout. And more times than not, a strikeout, right? But to be able to, pull a baseball and try to get a single with a single swing. Great job right in the gap there into left field. Nice job by Cal Raleigh. And it's been a minute where we've had guys go back-to-back with hits. Refsnyder getting a little blooper into center field. Cal with one there that gets past the third baseman. And let's see if Julio Rodriguez can knock him in with an RBI or a home run. Let's go, J-Rod. And J-Rod has been electric in the last 11 games, batting .317. 18-game on-base streak. Let's keep it going. 17 coming into this game. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. First pitch takes a strike, looking high and away. Slider, 76 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And Julio is due for a home run. He only has one. So, Julio, in this particular lineup, obviously you would assume is, due. J.P. Crawford is due. And then obviously, Mitch Garver and Leo Rivas for like lower end guys. They're definitely looking for their, home run in this particular series or in the Cardinals series. 1-1 pitch to Julio. And pops it up behind the plate to the T-Mobile bricks. Cutter, 85 miles an hour there by Jacob Lopez. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second, Refsnyder and Raleigh with no outs. We got to try to get at least 1 run here. Come on. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Let's go, Julio. 1-2 pitch. High and away. Good eye there by Julio Rodriguez. If that was last year, he definitely would have swung at that. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. You're definitely seeing a more mature Julio Rodriguez in the box. 2-2 pitch, and ends up trying to pull one into shallow left field. And runner tags and is safe at third. And for a second there, it looked like the left fielder and center fielder were going to collide into each other. Pull a Toronto Blue Jay. Kind of maneuver when we played them in the playoffs and that happened. But obviously we don't want anyone to get hurt. But, if Julio wouldn't really overextended himself in that particular at-bat, maybe things could have been a little bit, better. But at least he ends up getting the runner to be able to tag up from second to third. And now we have runners at first and third with 1 out as he lines out to left. Refsnyder with the good speed and awareness to get to third base. Next up is Josh Naylor. And if we can get the leg kick out of Josh Naylor, we can tie this game up or take the lead. Let's go, Nails. First pitch, Naylor hits it to shallow center field. Ref Snyder will tag. Run, ref! Run! Run, Rob! Yes! And Ref Snyder scores. There we go. Sometimes it's not pretty, and you got to, do sac flies and whatnot. But, with guys on first and second with no outs, we have to get at least a minimum of 1 run, and we do. Nice job there by Josh Naylor, and now the game is tied 1-1. Hell yeah. Next up is Randy Arozarena. There we go. Sometimes it's not pretty, and you got to do sac flies and things of that nature, but as long as it's deep enough to get it going. And again, good thing for Rob. And again, with Rob, he might be the only guy that you give him the green light to swing at that first pitch, considering how bad he's done, to start the year. But in the last few games, he definitely is starting to find a little rhythm on that first pitch, strike down the middle. Nice job by Ref Snyder getting on base, because if he doesn't, we probably don't score this inning. First pitch to Randy, takes a strike looking on the corner, slider 77 miles an hour, 0-1 count. And Randy has kind of let us down, with runners in scoring position lately. He has had a few games where he's homered, like a few games ago, with Julio on the microphone and him playing the guitar with the trident in the dugout. But again, singles and doubles are just as important as home runs. 0-1 pitch. There we go. That's the Randy that I love. A base knock into right field. Go, go, go. There we go. That's the Randy. See, he must have heard me, because again, he's had a lot of guys at first and second, bases loaded, first base, and he just, would end up, grounding out to first, second, and third, and now finally ends up getting a good one, that he ends up getting into right field. Great job by Randy, my boy. Randy singles to right, Raleigh at second. And now we're going to have a mound visit here by the Athletics. Next up in the 6th hole, shortstop J.P. Crawford. Would be amazing if J.P. ends up getting an RBI or a home run, and if he ends up hitting a 3-run blast and we go up 4-1, we're definitely not looking in the rearview mirror. Let's go, J.P. Jacob Wilson on the mound, J.P. Crawford in the box to see if J.P. can make some magic happen. He is due. He only has 1 home run on the year like Julio. And again, he had 1 robbed. Obviously, actually, he's had a few robbed in the season, but the one that most people remember with, obviously, Joe Adell, robbing Naylor, J.P., and one other in that game. First pitch, right down the middle to J.P. Crawford, 0-1 count. Oh-1 pitch, low and away. Slider 77 miles an hour there by Lopez, who's sweating profusely. Starting to have a little bit of a mini meltdown. We'll take it. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. Two-one pitch. And JP pops it up, and it should be a routine play in left field, and that is out number 3. End of the 3rd inning, and we're knotted up at 1. Castillo obviously is pitching well. We finally ended up, tying the game up within the first 3 innings, which is great. Now we just have to keep that momentum going. 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. Hopefully Castillo can go as long as possible, and then we bring in the right guys in the pen, Dan, and then we can end up winning this game. End of the 3rd inning, 1-1, Athletics and Mariners. Trident's up. Next up for the Athletics in the top of the 4th, 1-for-1 with an RBI, left fielder Tyler Soderstrom. Batting second, 0-for-1 with a K, shortstop Jacob Wilson. And batting third in the 6th hole, second baseman, 1-for-1, the former Met, Jeff McNeil. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. 61 subs to go to 23,900. Marine Beans on it. 86, 87 likes there. Only a few more to get to that number, and we're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. Let's look at some pitcher numbers here while we're on the commercial break. So 3 innings pitched for Jacob Lopez, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, no Ks, 56 pitches, 32 strikes with a 5.91 ERA, and he came into the game with a 1-1 record with an ERA of 6.38. I don't know if we've ever played against anybody that didn't have a K at this point, but again, we'll take it. And Castillo pitching a gem, one of the best games so far this year. 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 50 pitches, 36 strikes. Keep it up, Luis. First pitch there to Soderstrom. Takes a strike looking with a slider. 83 miles an hour, right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Tyler Soderstrom. Oh, 2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 4th inning, 1-1, Athletics and Mariners. Change up 86 miles an hour, low and away, missing by Castillo. 1-2 pitch to Soderstrom. Pops it up and behind the plate, foul. Oh, that one ends up being caught. I thought it was going to end up going behind the plate, but it ends up going right into Leo Rivas' glove. We'll take that, and that is 1 away. The camera angle initially, I just thought, oh, that's just going to be a foul ball. But then the secondary camera angle came in and right into Leo Rivas' glove at third. Awesome. 1 away. Down goes Soderstrom. Next up in the 5-hole, shortstop Jacob Wilson. First pitch to Wilson. High and inside, paints the corner beautifully. Sinker 95 miles an hour by Castillo. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. Sinker 95 miles an hour, grazing the dirt there. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Wilson. Top of the 4th inning with nobody on and 1 out. Athletics and Mariners knotted up at 1. 1-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. Slider 85 miles an hour there by Castillo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Wemby got a concussion. And obviously, if Dame was, healthy and playing, we would have a chance to, at least compete with them. My best friend is going to the Game 3 in Portland. But again, nice for them to be able to get the dub. Little slow dribbler to first, and that is 2 away. But let's be real. If Wemby doesn't get the concussion, the Blazers lose like they did in Game 1. Where at one point the game is close, and then all of a sudden the Spurs, do what they do, and they blow you out. But again, nice win there by the Blazers in game number 2. But again, if Wemby doesn't get the concussion, realistically, we don't win the game. But at least it makes that series a little bit more interesting. Wilson grounds out to second, and that is 2 away. Next up, the former Met, Jeff McNeil. First pitch right down the middle to McNeil, fouls it off towards third base, out of play, foul. 0-1 count. Spurs will more than likely still win the series unless, Wemby's out for a, number of games. We'll see how many games he misses. But, if you've watched the NBA this year, obviously OKC, the Spurs, the Pistons, those were the 3 best teams for the most part. But, playoffs, you never know. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Slider 86 miles an hour by Castillo. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jeff McNeil. 1-1 pitch. Hard hit ball, deep right field, and that is gone. Jeff McNeil homering on Castillo, and hopefully that'll be the only other run that Castillo gives up. 395 feet to right center, 2-1 Athletics. Jeff McNeil getting a hold of one, bringing a little bit of electricity for those A's fans. Next up in the 7-hole is Max Muncy. And again, you got to be very careful. No matter how many Ks Castillo has, definitely has a tendency to go right down the middle often. And again, at some point, someone's going to go yard on you. And unfortunately, it was Jeff McNeil right there. First pitch to Muncy, fouls it off himself. Slider 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. I mean, we're going to have to grind this out. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Oh, 1 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. 1 ball and 1 strike to Max Muncy. And remember, Castillo normally gives up 5, 6, 7 runs a game. So it's unfortunate that they take the lead after we just tied it up, but he's pitched well today. It's not his fault, if we end up losing this game. I mean, depending on what happens the rest of this inning. And we get a nice slow dribbler towards left field to Randy Arozarena, and Muncy with a single. I mean, we have to try to get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. That's just, point blank every single game, Next up in the 8-hole, right fielder, Lawrence Butler. Rip City, baby. Definitely not good enough to win the series, though, overall. Now, if Dame was playing, with Scoot Henderson and with Denny Advia, and they had 3 guys that could score off the dribble, with everyone else, it would be definitely more of an interesting series. But, with Dame not available, we still have a few good players. We're incredibly young, but Wemby got a concussion in that game. So, it is what it is. First pitch to Butler. Takes a strike looking low and away with a slider, 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Top of the 4th inning, 2-1 Athletics. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Change up 85 miles an hour there by Castillo. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 2 outs. Top of the 4th inning, 2-1 Athletics. And again, when the hitters don't do their job, then everything gets magnified on the pitcher, where the pitcher isn't good. He's our worst starter. He actually is pitching a good game, even though he just gave up that big home run. But it feels like it's magnified when the hitters aren't doing their job. So it's like, you put more pressure and more anger towards Luis, even though, he normally gives up 5, 6, 7 runs a game. And obviously it sucks to be down 2-1 when we just tied it up, but again, hopefully the Mariner bats will be able to get to 5. And if we're able to do that, we should have a good chance winning this game. 1-2 pitch, runner goes, Garver, got him! What a throw by Mitch Garver. JP Crawford with the tag. Let's go. Beautiful throw by Mitch Garver, because a lot of the throws from Cal Raleigh, as a catcher have been wide right. That one was right on the money, and a beautiful tag there by J.P. Crawford and Max Muncy after getting the base knock. And it kind of felt like Luis was starting to have maybe a little mini meltdown after giving up the home run to McNeil and then that base knock to Muncy. Great job there by Garver. Great job by J.P. And now we're down by 1. Now let's make it up, and let's see if we can tie this game up or take the lead here in the bottom of the 4th. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners in the bottom of the 4th inning. Next up, 1-for-1, catcher Mitch Garver. And a lot of times if you do something well defensively in the prior inning, and if you're one of the first 3 batters in the next inning, something usually really good happens. Could we get a home run for Mitch Garver? I sure as hell hope so. Batting second, 0-for-1, second baseman, great offense and defensive player, Cole Young. And batting third, 0-for-1, third baseman, Leo Rivas. I wouldn't mind seeing Leo drop a butt down at some point in this game. Go to the bottom of the 4th inning, 2-1 A's. All right, we're at 96 likes, 4 more to get to 100. We're almost there. crazy too, because my best friend and myself have tried to seen Wemby in person like 5 times, and every time that we go, he's injured. And then now he's got tickets for game 3, the first game at home. And if Wemby is still recovering from the concussion, that'll be like the 6th time that we've tried to. He was going to go with his dad, but it's like so many times we've tried to see Wemby and we haven't even seen him once yet. And it's been a number of times that we've tried to get tickets, but just for whatever reason, whenever that due date for Portland comes to town, he's just never healthy. First pitch to Mitch Garver, takes a strike looking inside, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, high and inside with a cutter, 85 miles an hour there by Lopez. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. Donovan is injured with the groin. He's on the 10-day IL, and that was from a few days ago, so we're not going to have him for a while. He's on the injured list. Pitches outside with a slider, 77 miles an hour by Lopez. 2 balls and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. 2-1 pitch, fouls that one behind the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. Great job by Scoot Henderson. You got a few guys on the team, getting the job done. Denny was an all this year, but Scoot having a great game and obviously helping the Blazers beat the Spurs with Wemby with a concussion. 2-2 pitch and a little dribbler here by Garver. Run, Garver, run! And throw to first, and that is 1 away. Down goes Mitch. Next up in the 8th hole, second baseman Cole Young. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Yeah, I watch a little bit of everything. It kind of just depends on the year. Obviously, when we're in baseball season, it's baseball and obviously the Mariners. And then when we go to football season, NFL and college football. And, I always keep up with what's going on in the NHL and the NBA, as well as NASCAR and WWE and AEW. And, so I'm pretty, in tune with everything that's going on. I might not watch as much NHL or NBA. Little dribbler there and no throw to first. And Cole Young getting to first base. And again, great job. Even if it ends up being, a deflection or an error, we'll take anything that we can get there. And McNeil wasn't able to come up with that play and ends up hitting the back end of the glove. And by the time that McNeil ended up getting a hold of that baseball, Cole Young was incredibly safe. Great job by Cole. 6-game hit streak for Cole Young. Next up is Leo Rivas. He's definitely due for his first home run of the season. But if we can just keep this inning alive, I don't care how he gets on. Single, double, triple, home run, dropping a bunt down, taking a walk, getting hit by a pitch, not getting hurt. Bottom of the 4th inning, 2-1 A's. Yeah, a little bit of UFC and boxing as well. We're fanatics here, so there isn't really anything that I don't keep up on, but some things I definitely watch more than others. But definitely enjoy, baseball and football the most out of anything. I did watch WrestleMania. Night 1 was garbage, but night 2 was good. 1-1 pitch. Low and away. Runner goes. And Young gets thrown out. Damn it. After we end up getting a runner thrown out, then Young ends up being overly aggressive there. And Shea Langoliers says, see you later. Why did you run there, Cole? I get it. You want to get that runner in scoring position, but I definitely wouldn't have, ran at this at bat with Leo. If you're going to go for a stolen bag or maybe a hit and run, wait for Rob on the next bat. 2-1 pitch, and Leo pops it up. Should be a routine play for the A's, and that's going to be out number 3. Highlight of WrestleMania, by far the main event on night 2 with, CM Punk and Roman Reigns going at it. That was by far, the best match of, both nights combined. Originally that was supposed to be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, but Seth got hurt. So, but I thought that they did a great job, with that main event. End of the 4th inning, 2-1 Athletics. Let's see who's up next here for the A's as we go to the top of the 5th. Next up for the A's, 0 for 1 with a K, right fielder in the 8-hole, Lawrence Butler. Batting second, 0 for 1, center fielder, Zach Geloff. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a run, base on ball and a K, first baseman, Nick Kurtz. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 60 subs to go to 23,900. All right, we're at 103 at the likes, 97 to get to 200. All right, Luis Castillo playing, pretty good, considering he normally gives up 5 to 7 runs a game. 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 68 pitches, 48 strikes. He's got 6 punch-outs, but again, the offense isn't doing their job. But again, we don't really play well against left-handed pitching. First pitch, a little slow dribbler by Butler, throw to first. Nice job there by Cole Young, doing what he does on a regular basis with Josh Naylor, and that is 1 away. Nice job by Cole Young. We can always rely on him more times than not to come up with a big play on D. Down goes Lawrence Butler. Next up is 9-hole hitter Zach Geloff. And then on deck will be Nick Kurtz. And then maybe once we get Lopez to leave, if they bring in a righty, then we might be able to start, getting some RBIs and home runs on the board. Unless he ends up having a meltdown, prior to him going out. But so far, he's pitched pretty well. First pitch to Geloff, takes a strike looking right down the middle. Slider, 84 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, takes a strike looking low and at the knees, but right on the corner of the zone. No balls and 2 strikes to Zach Geloff. 0-2 pitch from Castillo, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Luis Castillo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 5th inning, 2-1 Athletics. And again, when, you end up losing a game based on how the season has gone, everything gets magnified, quite a bit, especially when the bats aren't coming alive, and we know Castillo and Gilbert have not been good this year. But again, hopefully the bats will come alive sometime between the 6th through 9th inning. 2-2 pitch to Geloff. Whoa, wild pitch. Garver had no chance there. Luckily, there wasn't a runner at third. That would have been a wild pitch and someone would have scored. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Castillo to Geloff. Yeah, but money doesn't bring championships or wins. It's about chemistry, And just because they spend a lot of money doesn't equate to wins. They're not the Dodgers or the Yankees. And Geloff there with a nice base knock on a 3-2 count. Juan Soto should have stayed in New York for the Yankees. And if he would have stayed there, they probably would have a very good chance with Judge and Soto together to make another World Series. They might not be able to beat the Dodgers, but they probably would have been able to get there again, at least a couple more times. Next up is Nick Kurtz. But again, obviously the Mets offered more money, and some guys, that's what it's about. It's either money or legacy. First pitch from Castillo to Kurtz, takes a strike looking, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Nick Kurtz. Yeah, but again, you never know how things are going to go, from one season to the next. And, thankfully, what's happening to the Mets, isn't happening to the Mariners. I mean, Mariner fans can't even handle when we lose 4 or 5 in a row, let alone 10 or 11 or 12 in a row. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike to Nick Kurtz. Two-one pitch. Check swing. Did he go? And he did not. Pitches low and at the knees. Slider 85 miles an hour there by Castillo. 3 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. And we haven't mentioned at all today, but this would be a good opportunity for a double play here if we can get it. Slow dribbler up the middle would be fantastic. 3-1 pitch. Takes a strike right down the middle. I mean, obviously, second best scenario would be back-to-back punch-outs on Kurtz and Langoliers, but top of the 5th inning, 2-1 Athletics, runner at first with 1 out, and now we got a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. Come on, Castillo. 3-2 pitch, little dribbler towards third base and foul. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour by La Piedra, Luis Castillo. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. Pitch number 7 incoming here to Nick Kurtz. Got to be very careful on how you pitch to him down the middle. Second on the team with 3 home runs. Langoliers is number 1 with 7. And he pops it up. Randy is there. And that is 2 away. Thankfully, that wasn't a ground ball. Big out there for Luis Castillo. 2 away. Next up in the 2-hole, the best hitter on the team, catcher, Shea Langoliers. Go Castillo, finish strong. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Langoliers 0 for 2 with a K so far, which is kind of surprising. First pitch. Big swing and a miss. Slider 86 miles an hour. Low away. 0-1 count. Pajes, Langoliers, Christian Walker, Yandy Diaz, and Jordan Walker. And we know Walker, we're going to be playing him next in the next series against the St. Louis Cardinals on the road. It's going to be very interesting. Throw to first. No tag by Naylor, and he is safe. Oh-1 pitch to Langoliers, high and inside. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour by Luis Castillo. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first. Geloff with 2 outs. Top of the 5th, 2-1 Athletics. And this is one of the best games that Castillo has pitched. But again, we haven't got the bats really to come alive just yet. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Luis Castillo. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 2 outs. But I mean, that's kind of the norm for us, right? You know, it's like the hitting isn't good and the bullpen and the manager, then we figure out the hitting. And then obviously the bullpen and the manager end up losing games. And then now, you know, we finally get a good outing out of Castillo, but now we can't hit. It's like, it's really hard to be able to put everything together, you know, in a game where you get good starting pitching, good bullpen, good Dan Wilson, and then the hitters are, you know, getting hits and RBIs and home runs. It's, you know, it does happen sometimes, but it always feels like we're always, you know, 1 thing off or 2 things off from really making it all come together. Top of the 5th, runner at first with 2 outs. 2-1 A's, plenty of time to still to win this game. Must-win game here tonight as we play tomorrow with Logan Gilbert on the mound at a early afternoon start at 1:10 Pacific. Adjust your schedules accordingly. Two-two pitch to Langoliers, low and away. Count now is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. And it definitely feels like Castillo is, you know, not having a meltdown, but he definitely is, you know, getting tired, it feels like. And the, you know, the location of the pitches are not going really where we need them to be at this point. And you could have said that in the 4th inning as well. 3-2 pitch to Langoliers, and he pops it up. And is it going to stay in foul territory for us? Going to hit the roof, and Rivas caught it, but are they going to give that to us? Or is that going to be, since it hit the roof, they're just going to call a redo here. So it hits the roof, and Rivas catches it, and they go for a hit and run, but I guess we're going to have a redo. Good awareness by Rivas catching that. Made it look very nonchalant there at third. All right, we still got a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Come on, Castillo. Got to get Langoliers out. Castillo on the mound, Langoliers in the box. 3-2 pitch, and it's a walk. Damn it. Next up in the 3-hole, DHing Carlos Cortez. And now we got Woodworth, the pitching coach, coming out there to have a little discussion there with the squad. Come on, Luis. Got to get on the same page with Castillo and Garver. And this definitely could be a turning point in the game here. Top of the 5th with runners at first and second and 2 outs. He's had 89 pitches, so potentially you could pull him here. But remember, we don't really have that many guys that are trustworthy. I mean, we have maybe 3, right? We have Brash, we have Bizzardo, and we have Spire. And even Spire is only trustworthy maybe half the time, but he's the 3rd best. Everyone else is dog shit. Jose Ferrer, dog shit. Casey Legomina went to AAA this morning. Cooper Criswell, he's dog shit. Cole Wilcox, he's dog shit. And then obviously Mooney hasn't been good this year, but he's, looking like he might be on the right path of getting better, but again, that's not really ideal, and then Carlos Vargas is injured, but most of the time he wasn't very good for us last year anyways. So first pitch there to Cortez, fouls that one off, 0-1 count. So again, we will get into situations where, we want to pull some guys. But again, if we pull a guy and then bring in a jobber from, the bullpen, then the same thing's going to happen, if not worse. So you have to keep that in mind. Oh, 1 pitch to Cortez, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Castillo to Cortez. Right ends up. Let's go, M's. 1-1 pitch. Low and inside at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike to Carlos Cortez. And also remember, Castillo normally gives up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 runs. He's at 2 right now. It just feels worse because we only have 1 and the offense is, stagnant. Normally in a situation, if we weren't going against a lefty, maybe we have 3 or 4 runs by now. 2-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. So even when someone does well and then the hitters are obsolete, it makes it feel like we're down by 4-1, even though it's only 2-1. And, you put a little bit more pressure on Castillo, even though he actually has pitched a hell of a lot better than he normally does. He's only given up 2 runs and has a shitload of Ks. But, again, when a guy isn't very good throughout the year, it's hard to give him credit, And now we got another full count here from Castillo, but we have to be careful. Remember, Cortez went 4 for 5 yesterday. But if he ends up walking Cortez, I assume the pitching change will happen because he's already over 90 now. 3-2 pitch. And a hard hit ball in the left field. Get it, Randy! Yes! And Randy saves us. Nice job. Imagine if that was a ground ball. We're probably down 4-1, right? But he ends up getting a line drive. Thankfully, it's not a ground ball to Randy because we know what happens when that happens. And he bails out Luis Castillo. And now we're only down 2-1 instead of 4-1. And we actually should have a pretty good chance. As long as the batters at some point come alive, we might have to wait, for this lefty to exit and we get hopefully a righty to come in, unless they do us dirty and they bring in another lefty from the pen, which teams have been doing against us pretty often because they know we can't really hit on left-handed pitching this year. Now, Jacob Lopez, let's take a look at where his numbers are at. Where's he at on the pitch count? So Castillo's at 95 pitches. He'll be done. And let's see, Lopez is at 67 pitches. So he'll be in there for a little bit longer. But even with that being said, we do have 5 hits. We haven't been able to convert. 5 hits for the A's, 5 hits for the Mariners, but we only have 1 run, and they have 2. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2 with a run, right fielder Rob Refsnyder. If it's right down the middle, swing at that first pitch. Batting second, 1 for 2, DHing today, it's the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Let's go, Cal. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a base on ball, Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. Again, if we go against right-handed pitching, it's not a big deal. But left-handed pitching, it's definitely very challenging for us this year. Yeah, well, if we bring somebody in, it better be Bizzardo, Brash, or Spire. But, with Dan Wilson, who the hell knows? Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Plenty of time to win this game. First pitch by Refsnyder and flies out to center, and that is 1 away. Next up in the 2-hole, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Come on, Cal. Bottom of the 5th, 2-1 Athletics. Cal, hard hit ball, deep left field. Back. Go on! Cal Raleigh, he does it, baby! And again, when you need someone to get the job done, and again, Luis Castillo has pitched a gem so far. Cal Raleigh says, no problem. I've been terrible on the right side this year, but I'm going to get it done. Big dumper with a big home run, 367 feet, and we're tied at 2. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Way to bring the electricity, Cal Raleigh. Let's go. Hell yeah. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch, fouls it off the catcher. 4-seam fastball, 89 miles an hour there by Jacob Lopez. 0-1 count. Bottom of the 5th, 2-2, A's and Mariners. Cal Raleigh with a big heater. Julio Rodriguez, let's see if we can end up getting a big play from Julio here as well. Just goes over the glove as well. The last thing that we need is someone to rob us of a home run like Joe Adell did 3 times in that Angel game. But it was deep enough. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Let's go. Back-to-back jacks for Cal Raleigh from yesterday and today. Maybe he's starting to heat up. Little dribbler by Julio towards third base. Run, J-Rod. Safe. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. And I decided to wear the Cal Raleigh jersey today. Had a hope or a hunch, that maybe he could make a big play, and thankfully he did. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez with that little slow dribbler towards third. And again, we're starting to get into a nice rhythm here in the 5th inning. Nice job. Next up is Josh Naylor. And usually home runs are contagious for the Mariners. Once we get that first one, usually that second and third are, not that far behind. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Let him know, Captain. What's good, brother? We're at 2:98 to go. Throw to first, and Julio is safe. First pitch from Jacob Lopez, high and away with a 4-seam fastball, 89 miles an hour to Josh Naylor, 1-0 count. And they ended up in the pre-show kind of going over the different height of the leg kick for Naylor. And when he does the little one, it doesn't give the best results. But when he does like the really high leg kick, That's usually where you get those big base knocks, the home runs, the singles, and the doubles. And again, he's starting to get a little bit better, within the last few games. 1-0 pitch, low and at the knees. Slider 79 miles an hour, missing by Lopez. 2 balls and no strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. 2-2 Athletics and Mariners. Must-win game for us. 2-0 pitch. Takes a strike, looking right down the middle. Beautiful slider there by Jacob Lopez. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 5th. 2-2 Athletics and Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 2-1 pitch. Takes a strike on the corner. 4-seam fastball, 91 miles an hour by Lopez. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Come on, Josh. And that was a dumb challenge by Naylor. I would have never challenged that one. Obviously, it felt like it was a ball to him, getting close to his knees and whatnot. But based off the pitch graph, I knew there was no chance that was going to get overturned. Come on, Naylor. We got to win this for Castillo. I mean, if he pitched this well, and again, he normally gives up a bazillion runs, home runs galore and a bunch of hits and RBIs, and he finally has a pretty good game, giving up only 2 runs instead of fucking 8, and he's got 6 Ks. Got to win for him. But obviously, he won't get credited with the win since we're tied right now. 2-2 pitch. And they try to jam Naylor, and it gets popped up. And Muncy is there, and that is 2 away. Unfortunate pop-up there by Josh Naylor. 2 down. Next up in the 5-hole, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Let's see if Randy can continue this inning with 2 outs. On deck will be J.P. Crawford. Come on, Randy. So far, Randy is 1 for 2. Check swing there by Randy. A little slow dribbler. Run, Randy. And a close play at first, but they say he's out. But that might be some of the best hustle you've seen out of Randy towards first base. And that is out number 3. Nice job by Cal Raleigh tying this game up for the Mariners. Let's see who's up next here for the Athletics as we go to the top of the 6th. Next up for the A's, 1 for 2 with an RBI, left fielder Tyler Soderstrom. Batting second, 0 for 2 with a K, shortstop Jacob Wilson. And batting third, 2 for 2 with a run, RBI, and a home run, second baseman from the Mets, Jeff McNeil. And let's see who they're bringing in for Luis Castillo here. Castillo will be done. Final line, 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, 95 pitches, 62 strikes, and his ERA goes down to 5.01, and probably his best start, so far in the early 2026 season. One of the best starts he's had, probably top 2 so far this year. And Edward Bizardo is coming in, and I agree with that decision. And hopefully Bizardo will be good here. One of the 3, bullpen guys that we can actually trust. Bizardo, Brash, and Spire. All right, let's go, Bizardo. Let's get it done, baby. $60 subs to go to 23,900. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. And we're at 123 likes. $123 likes, 27 to 150. Edward Bizardo coming in for Luis Castillo. Next up, 1 for 2 with an RBI. Left fielder Tyler Soderstrom. On deck is Jacob Wilson. Top of the 6th inning, we're knotted up at 2. First pitch is high and away. Sweeper 80 miles an hour there by Bizardo. 1-0 count. One 1-0 pitch. Fouls that one off out of play. Sinker 93 miles an hour there by Bizardo. Pitch was low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 6th inning, we're knotted up at 2. All day in the building. What's good? 1-1 pitch. High and inside. Sinker 94 miles an hour there by Bizardo. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 6th inning. 2-2 Athletics and Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. Big home run by Cal Raleigh to tie this game up. Mariners challenge and end up winning. Good call there by Garv. Or did that get challenged by Soderstrom? It did get challenged by Garver. 1-2 pitch. Pops it up and foul. Goes from 2-1 to a 1-2 count. Sweeper 83 miles an hour there by Bizardo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 6th, 2-2 Athletics and Mariners. Soderstrom doubled to right. Kurt scored in the first, making it 1-0. And a hard hit ball into shallow center field. Off the wall. Grab it, Julio. And Soderstrom's having a good game and a sliding double, and he is safe. Naylor sac fly to center with Ref Snyder scoring, making it 1-1. McNeil homering it, making it 2-1. And then Raleigh homering it to make it 2-2. But Soderstrom having himself a game here so far. First pitch to Wilson, crushes it foul, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, high and inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Jacob Wilson. Top of the 6th inning, runner at second with no outs. We're knotted up at 2. 1-1 pitch. Fouls that one off into right field. Out of play. Sinker 95 miles an hour there by Edward Bizardo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and no outs. One-two pitch and a hard hit ball towards third base that gets past Rivas. Holy fuck. And it's going to go to Randy, and that's going to score a run. Jesus Christ. Hurry. And Jacob Wilson with a big RBI. And just when we end up tying the game up, and then Edward Bizardo shitting the bed, and he's normally one of the top 3 guys in the pen. But that's just a great hit by Jacob Wilson. Doubling to left. Soderstrom scoring from second. 3-2 A's. And again, every time we play the Athletics or, the Angels, it's never easy. It's always a war. It's always a battle. Next up in the 6th hole, second baseman Jeff McNeil. First pitch was low and inside at the knees, but is being challenged. So let's see what they call here with this ABS challenge. And it's going to get overturned to being a strike. Good challenge there by Garver. 1-0 now turns to an 0-1 count. Top of the 6th, runner at second with no outs. 0-1 pitch from Bizzardo. Low and away. That one looked like it was outside of the zone. And now we're going to get another challenge here by Jeff McNeil. And this should be overturned to being a ball. All right, now it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Jeff McNeil. I mean, the way the Mariners have played this year, everyone gives us a hard time, right? It's not just a couple teams, it's everyone. 1-1 pitch, and McNeil gets a hold of that one and foul. Sweeper 82 miles an hour there by Edward Bizzardo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and no outs. Top of the 6th, 3-2 Athletics. We'll see if the Royals give us any problems this year. They're not a very good team this year, but again, we've struggled ourselves. So we'll see. When they end up, recognizing Randy Johnson, Royals will be coming to town. So we'll see then. And that'll be around the birthday time, the beginning of May. Top of the 6th, runner at second with no outs. Athletics up 3-2. Edward Bizzardo giving up an RBI, which is very rare, considering he's one of the top 3 guys that we actually can trust. But go figure, he ends up giving up an RBI, and we're down 3-2. Come on, Bizzardo. One-two pitch. And a little dribbler towards first base and foul. Sinker 95 miles an hour there by Edward Bizzardo. 1 ball and 2 strikes with a runner at second and no outs. Top of the 6th, 3-2 A's. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We got to dig deep here. 1-2 pitch from Bizzardo, and that ends up going behind the plate towards that progressive sign and the T-Mobile bricks. Pitch 7 incoming here to Jeff McNeil, who homered earlier in the game. Come on, Bizzardo. 1-2 pitch. Little dribbler towards first base and foul. Sweeper 83 miles an hour, and Bizzardo's having these long at-bats, and this isn't really the electric Bizzardo that we thought maybe that we were getting him coming in. Normally with him or Brash, and most of the time with Spire, it usually is a good outing, but definitely Bizzardo looking a little shaky here coming in. 1-2 pitch, and another ball hit towards right field, and that first base line and foul. Just feels like a lot of these pitches from Bizzardo, it's like he's just lobbing it in there, even though some of them are hitting, over 90 miles an hour, but it almost feels like, it's like a, spring training, kind of practice pitches. It doesn't really feel like, this is the normal Edward Bizzardo. One-two pitch to McNeil. And pops it up into shallow center field. Julio is there, and that is 1 away. And Jacob Wilson takes a quick look and decides to stay at second base. All right, finally, Bizzardo getting an out. Down goes Jeff McNeil, flying out to Julio Rodriguez, where we can trust him in the no-fly zone more times than not. Next up in the 7-hole is third baseman Max Muncy. On deck in the 8-hole, right fielder Lawrence Butler. And we got a mound visit here with Garver and Bizzardo, just like in the photo. First pitch is low and away. Sinker 96 miles an hour. 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, low and away. Sinker 94 miles an hour by Edward Bizzardo. 2 balls and no strikes to Max Muncy. Come on, Bizzardo. We haven't really had too many opportunities for double plays today. And every time we end up tying the game up, the A's retake the lead. And we're definitely going to need, the bats to come alive here in the last 3 innings. Takes a strike, looking low and at the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike to Max Muncy. 2-1 pitch, low and away. And this is not the Bizzardo that I'm used to seeing, but, again, it's definitely tough for bullpen guys to be, sitting for, 2 hours. And we expect, electricity every single time when they're out there. But I'm not recognizing who this is on the mound. 3-1 pitch, a little slow dribbler there. Throw to first. High throw. But Naylor with some good athleticism with the toe tap on the bag. And that is 2 away. And we can't let them score more than 1 run. I mean, normally Bizzardo doesn't give up any. So for him to give up the RBI was kind of shocking. But, hopefully it will only be 1. I mean, especially if we want to try to win this game. Jacob Wilson scampers to third. Next up is Lawrence Butler. First pitch from Bizzardo to Butler. Takes a strike right down the middle, 0-1 count. Top of the 6th inning, 3-2 Athletics. Runner at third, Jacob Wilson with 2 outs. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Sinker high and away, 94 miles an hour there by Edward Bizzardo. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at third and 2 outs. We got Cole Wilcox warming up. Holy hell. That's the last thing that you want to fucking see. AAA pitcher warming up. That's Dan Wilson for you. 0-2 pitch. Low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Lawrence Butler. Come on, Bizzardo. 1-2 pitch. Got him. There we go. Nice job by Bizzardo finishing him off. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning and see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 in the 6th hole, shortstop J.P. Crawford. Batting second, 1 for 2 in the 7th hole, catcher Mitch Garver. And batting third in the 8th hole, second baseman Cole Young. Paisley just came in here, so I'm going to go grab her a snack here real quick. Alec in the building. What's good? Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-2 A's. And we gained 3 more subs since the last commercial break. 57 subs to go to 23,900. We're at 2 on the dono train, 98 to go. Hopefully we'll be able to get someone to step up after Bash did at the beginning of the broadcast. And we're at 137 at the likes, 13 to get to 150. First pitch from Lopez to Crawford, low and away, 1-0 count. One 0 pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 88 miles an hour there by Lopez. 2 balls and no strikes to J.P. Crawford. Two 0 pitch, low and at the knees, but right in the line of the strike zone. That's, maybe just a piece of the strike zone there. Slider 77 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. 2-1 pitch, fouls that one behind the plate to the T-Mobile bricks. 2 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Bottom of the 6th, 3-2 A's. Come on, JP. 2-2 pitch, high and away. Four-seam fastball, 90 miles an hour there by Lopez. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford.
My God.
3-2 pitch, fouls that one off, low and away. Count still full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Jacob Wilson on the mound, J.P. Crawford in the box. And, we're hoping that they bring in a righty so that way we can actually get Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone in this game. And it also shows you, when Brandon Donovan isn't available, we're definitely not as good, and again, not having him for an extended period of time is definitely making, winning games challenging, to say the least. Three-two pitch, and fouls that one off. Count still is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-2 A's with nobody on and no outs. Jacob Lopez on the mound, J.P. Crawford in the box. 3-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes J.P., and that is 1 away. Next up in the 7-hole, catcher Mitch Garver. Paisley's in here with us now. It looks like we're going to have that pitching change finally. Yep. And it looks like Jacob Lopez is done. And Barlow is coming in. All right, so let's look at Jacob Lopez's final line. 5.1 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, only 1 K. That's probably the lowest out of anybody that we faced this year, but we're still down a run. 86 pitches, 52 strikes with a 5.70 ERA. Scott Barlow coming in. And we are going to get a righty to come in here, so. All right, Barlow with a 4.66 ERA, and hopefully now we can make some substitutions. And we don't even need necessarily Mitch Garver. Obviously he's catching today, so you can't make that swap. And you have Cal DHing, unfortunately. Because then if Garver was, DHing, then you can make the swap for like Canzone. But hopefully we get a little Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone at some point in this game, so. Luke Raley for Rob Refsnyder potentially, and obviously Cal is DHing, so, and then Garver is catching, so we're kind of stuck there. First pitch from Scott Barlow into Mitch Garver, 1-0 count. And Langoliers is going to challenge, but it's outside. Wow, but it just gets a piece of the strike zone. Unbelievable. Call is overturned. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-2 Athletics. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-2 A's. Barlow on the mound. Garver in the box. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mitch Garver. Let him know, TJ. And also remember, it costs me $175 a month just to do this. So, any type of support that we can end up getting will definitely go towards helping with that, with the internet and the streaming fee, as well as having to pay Mariners TV $20 a month to be able to do this stream. So, bottom of the 6th, 3-2 A's. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes Mitch Garver. And that is 2 away. Next up for the Mariners in the 8-hole, second baseman Cole Young. On deck is Leo Rivas. And I can't wait for Brendan Donovan to come back because we desperately miss him. And once Colt Emerson gets healthy, hopefully we get the call up from him before June as well. And I wouldn't mind seeing Cade Anderson get called up at some point before the year is over also. First pitch in there to Cole Young is a ball. Low and away, sinker, 86 miles an hour to 88 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, and he pops it up into shallow left field. And that is out number 3. All right, end of the 6th inning, 3-2 A's. Let's see who's up next for the Athletics as we go to the top of the 7th. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the Athletics in the 9-hole, 1-for-2 center fielder Zach Geloff. Batting second, 0-for-2 with a run, base on ball, and a K, first baseman Nick Kurtz. And batting third, 0-for-2 with a base on ball and a K, catcher Shea Langoliers. And I assume Bizzardo will be out and they'll bring in Cole Wilcox, and I don't know if I agree with that, but again, when you have only 1 or 2 guys that you can really trust in the pen and you're relying on this guy to make the right decision, it's not really ideal. But hopefully we can find the way to get the job done, and hopefully Luke Raley will come in for Rob Refsnyder for at least a couple at-bats, and maybe he'll be the hero. Right ends up. Let's go M's. And Gabe Spire is coming in, thank God, instead of Cole Wilcox. And hopefully we get the good Gabe, not the bad. All right, you Pat McAfee look-alike, get the job done. Top of the 7th inning, and Gabe Spire coming in, and hopefully we get the good Gabe. Has a tendency to get an out and give up a home run or a big RBI, but hopefully that won't be the case here. Randy Johnson retirement ceremony night, May 2nd, my birthday, versus the Royals. I'll be here. I'll still be working. Gabe Spire on the mound and Zach Geloff in the box. Uncle in the building, what's good? Top of the 7th inning, 3-2 A's. Luis Castillo actually had a good game today. But again, the bats haven't really come alive because we're not very good against lefties. But, we'll see what happens the rest of the way, especially if they stick with Barlow as a righty. First pitch from Spire to Geloff, takes a strike looking right down the middle. Slider, 82 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, and gets Geloff to pop up to shallow center field. Julio is there. And that is 1 away. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez. More times than not, we can trust him with everything there in center field. Nice job, Julio. Next up for the Athletics, first baseman Nick Kurtz. First pitch to Kurtz, big swing and a miss, low and at the knees. Sinker 94 miles an hour by Gabe Spire, 0-1 count. Keep it going, Gabe. We're going to need the good version of you here. 0-1 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike from Spire to Kurtz. And again, with all the woes that we've had in the bullpen, I want to be able to see Brash, Bizzardo, or Spire pitch 2 innings when they're doing well. Obviously, Bizzardo wasn't good, so you wouldn't want him again, but again, when someone is doing well and it's one of our top 3 guys, Bizzardo, Brash, or Spire, sometimes Dan has got to be able to milk that, because if you bring in a Cole Wilcox, a Casey Legumina type that we just sent down to AAA, or Cooper Criswell, things can go sideways really quick. We learned that last night. 1-2 pitch, a little slow dribbler towards first. Josh Naylor, flip to Gabe Spire, toe tap on the bag, and that is 2 away. Good defense there by Naylor, and great teamwork with Gabe Spire. Nice job. Next up for Gabe Spire, number 1 in home runs for the Athletics with 7, Shea Langoliers. Got to be very careful if you go right down the middle because he will make you pay. Alec with a 5er. Appreciate you. Every dollar counts. And right down the middle, Langoliers pops it up. Back. Gone! And just like I said, you got to be careful. And what happens? Gabe Spire gets an out or 2, gives up a home run. And Gabe continues to be Gabe Spire. Unbelievable. And now we're down 4-2. Again, it's like you have to have awareness on how many home runs they have and where they're hitting the ball. 417 feet. Gabe Spire did not read the report on Shea Langoliers, I'll tell you that. And Shea makes you pay. 4-2 Athletics. Come on. Next up in the 3-hole, DHing Carlos Cortez. And again, Gabe has this tendency, unfortunately. Alec with a 5er. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And a little slow dribbler towards third base by Cortez. Oh, God, it goes to Randy. So that's an automatic double. Anything that goes to Randy in a ground ball, singles turn into doubles, doubles turn into triples. And Edward Bizzardo, one of our top 3 guys, didn't look good. And then we bring in Gabe Spire, who's probably our 3rd best guy in the pen. He doesn't look good. We just can't win. Finally Castillo doesn't give up 5 to 7 runs, and he actually pitches well, but the bats don't come alive, and then the guys that we normally trust, we can't. I mean, it's like, fucking A, man. Can we at least catch a break at some point? But apparently not. And a little dribbler to Gabe Spire, throw to first on Tyler Soderstrom, and that is out number 3. So we were at 2-2. Edward Bizzardo comes in, gives up a run. 3-2. Gabe Spire comes in, gives up a run, and now we're down 4-2. Fuck. Brutal. But again, we still have time to be able to come back, but, it's not ideal when, 2 of your top 3 in the pen that are only trustworthy out of like 10 guys, and they both fuck up and give up a run in back-to-back innings. That makes it tough to win the game. But I'll say this, if they end up going with righties the rest of the way, whether it ends up being Scott Barlow here or, anybody else, we'll still have a chance. But if they end up referring back to a lefty, it might be a long, long night. Let's see who's up next year for the Mariners and see if we can end up, just scraping away a little bit and see if we can get back a run or 2 here. We're going to the bottom of the 7th inning. Let's see who is next for Seattle. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2, 3rd baseman in the 9-hole, Leo Rivas. I sure as hell wish this was Brendan Donovan. We miss him. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a run is normally Rob Refsnyder. Bring in fucking Luke Raley, damn it. And batting third, 2 for 3 with a run and an RBI, who had a home run earlier today. Thank God. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh. But again, we're going to need Dominic Canzone and Luke Raley in this lineup ASAP. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-2 Athletics. But Gabe Spire definitely did not read the scouting report on Shea Langoliers. Now he's leading the team with 8 home runs. And again, they don't have Brent Rooker. We don't have Brendan Donovan. But again, I feel that, certain things need to be done, and again, you got to worry about yourself, but you also have to worry about the opponent as well. Still plenty of time to come back. And again, we are one of the worst road teams in baseball. So, us and the Astros and the Royals, and we're going to be going to the Cardinals, and that's not going to be easy. Jordan Walker is just crazy right now. So we have to find a way. And they got Barlow still in, the righty. So let's see if we can make some magic happen. First pitch is in there for a strike, low and away, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Inside with the sweeper, low and away, 79 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Leo Rivas. And it looks like Luke Raley will be taking the spot for Rob Refsnyder. So that's a good sign, especially if Luke can homer. 1-1 pitch in there for a strike to Leo Rivas. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Barlow to Rivas. I got Hogan Harris warming up. Of course, he's a lefty. And if they pull him, if they bring him in, so that way we can't use Luke Raley. I mean, that's what teams are doing against us. They're trying to do as much left-handed pitching against the Mariners because we can't hit it. No matter who the batter is, more times than not. I mean, yeah, Cal was able to homer today, but that's not something that happens regularly. 1-2 pitch, fouled off right down the middle. Curveball, 76 miles an hour there by Scott Barlow. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Leo Rivas. 1-2 pitch, wild pitch, low and away. Gets away from Barlow, and Shane Langoliers ends up saving it. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Leo Rivas. Two pitch, low and at the knees. Sweeper, 79 miles an hour there by Scott Barlow. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Leo Rivas. We need a mini meltdown by some athletic pitchers. We can't necessarily just rely on our hitters, to get the job done here. We might need a little assistance. 3-2 pitch. And Rivas with a hard hit ball, but right to the first baseman, Nick Kurtz. Toe tap as a flip to Barlow, and that is 1 away. Filling in for Rob Refsnyder will be Luke Raley. Let's go, Luke. I mean, he's the number 1 hitter, in batting average, RBIs, and home runs. And if that's the case, he should be playing every day. I don't care if it's against a lefty or a righty. He's number 1 in all those categories. We can't afford for him not to play. And again, we might be able to get a couple at-bats with him at this point. But, when you don't have Brendan Donovan in the lineup, and you don't have your best player, hitting in the box, playing every day, kind of hard to win games. First pitch from Barlow to Raley, big swing and a miss, sweeper, 79 miles an hour, low and away, 0-1 count. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-2 Athletics. Oh, 1 pitch, and Raley fouls that one out of play into left field. Curveball, 76 miles an hour there by Scott Barlow. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-2 Athletics. But even though that we haven't been playing well, the American League West has been terrible. So at least we have that going for us, that everyone is playing bad. 0-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and down goes Luke Raley. That was unfortunate. And that is 2 away. That's probably one of the worst at-bats I think I've seen out of Luke Raley all year. Next up in the 2-hole, DHing, big dumper, Cal Raleigh, who's already homered once from the right side. Can we get him to homer from the left side? And at this point, we're probably going to need him to. On deck is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch from Barlow to big dumper, high and away, sinker 89 miles an hour, 1-0 count. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. 1-0 pitch, low and away. Sinker 89 miles an hour there by Barlow. 2 balls and no strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Plenty of time. You know, we're used to things going against us this year. 2-0 pitch, high and away. 4-seam fastball, 87 miles an hour by Barlow, missing. 3 balls, no strikes to Cal Raleigh. And usually when you get a 3-0 or 3-1 count, that's when Cal homers. 3-0 pitch, and that goes into the dirt, and that is a 4-pitch walk, and we get Cal at first. And this is the time that we need Julio Rodriguez to hit a 2-run jack to tie the game up. I mean, the time is now. He only has 1 home run on the year, 18-game on-base streak, 17 going into this game, and this would be fantastic if we could end up getting a homer here. But I think they're going to be bringing in Mason, or they're going to bring in Hogan, and then that'll end up being another fucking lefty. Hogan Harris, are they going to bring him in? Yeah, Hogan Harris warming up in the pen. But at the moment, they still got Scott Barlow on the mound, the righty. And then we got Julio Rodriguez in the box. Come on, J-Rod. You only got 1 home run on the year. You are overdue. Let's go, Julio. We desperately need an RBI or home run here. Come on, J-Rod. And J-Rod has been pretty damn good, you know, especially within, you know, the last 11 games. He's batting .317, which is one of the best on the team. Julio gets a hit. Naylor gets a hit. We're right back in the ball game. Let's go. Bottom of the 7th, 4-2 A's. Runner at first with 2 outs. First pitch to Julio, low and away. 1-0 count. And again, this might be the first year where we actually see Julio playing well in the first half of the season, which he hasn't been able to do in his career yet. You know, he definitely feels like he's more patient in the box than we've ever seen. And that was kind of the big knock on him. 1-0 pitch, takes a strike looking right down the middle, sweeper 80 miles an hour from Scott Barlow. 1 ball and 1 strike with a runner at first and 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th, 4-2 A's. Come on, J-Rod. 1-1 pitch, low and away. Curveball 76 miles an hour there by Scott Barlow. 2 balls and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Now, getting in a brawl, nice, you know, but we can't really afford any of our good guys to get suspended. I mean, we already have a hard time, you know, getting fucking hits and RBIs and home runs, let alone to have one of our, you know, good players, you know, being suspended. 2-1 pitch in there for a strike. Curveball 75 miles an hour, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. But usually when we get in fights, it's not against the Athletics. It's normally against like the Angels, you know, or the Astros. 2-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Julio Rodriguez. But I get what you mean. You know, sometimes when things are kind of going sideways, you know, a fight or like a manager ejection, you know, kind of fires the team up and whatnot. But 3-2 pitch, and Julio with a little dribbler. Let's go! And Julio continues to stay hot. Here we go. And again, we haven't been that great, you know, with 2 outs this season, you know, but hopefully this will be, you know, an opportunity that we can take advantage with 2 outs. Give me the fucking highest leg kick that you have ever fucking seen. Give me a fucking Street Fighter Chun-Li, fucking Guile, big fucking leg kick. Give it to me here. Bottom of the 7th with runners at first and second and 2 outs. And we're going to have a pitching change. And I assume Hogan Harris is going to be coming out as a lefty against Nails, Josh Naylor. Obviously, with 1 swing, it could end up being 5-4, 4-3, or 4-4. But again, it would have been much better if they would have kept Barlow in. You know, but again, this is what good teams do. You know, they know that Mariners can't hit left-handed pitching. So again, if you have a left-handed starter and you have some guys that are lefty in the pen, even if they have high ERAs, more times than not, the Mariner hitters have a really hard time getting it done, even if the guy has a ERA of fucking 9. You know, it just seems like we have a real tough time getting the job done. But hopefully, you know, we can find a way to get some hits on Hogan Harris. Naylor is 0 for 1 with an RBI and a base on ball, and this is the best chance that we've had in quite a few innings to be able to produce some runs. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Gain another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. We know Cody Rhodes is playing Guile in the new Street Fighter that's coming up pretty soon. Quite a few notable names. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-2 Athletics. And we're at 151 likes, 49 to get to 200. Two on with 2 outs. Come on, Josh Naylor. Give me the fucking highest leg kick you have ever seen. And again, they went over it in the pre-show. When he does the little leg kick, it doesn't really get any results. But when he ends up doing the really high leg kick, that's when he ends up getting home runs, singles, and doubles. And as of late, since that Astro series, he's been pretty good. But let's see if we can get it happen, make it happen here against Hogan Harris. First pitch to Josh Naylor, takes a strike looking high and inside. Tried to jam him with the curveball. He does not swing. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Low and away. Bit on the slider. Should have had more discipline there. No balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Come on, Josh. There's no way in hell he should have swung at that. But again, these lefties know how to get the Mariner batters out. 0-2 pitch. And gets a piece of that one behind the plate. Foul. Slider 85 miles an hour there by Hogan Harris. No balls and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning, 4-2 A's. And again, normally we don't, have Bizzardo give up a run and Gabe Spire back to back. Those are 2 of the top 3 guys, not including Matt Brash. But I guess, there's a first for everything. 0-2 pitch. Inside. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour by Hogan Harris. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. And go figure, Castillo finally actually has a good game, and we can't fucking, play well for him, with the bullpen and the hitters, at least up to this point. But we can make that change here. Ooh, Naylor almost gets hit in the face, has to drop the bat. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, just missing his face. And it was actually more towards his shoulder. The initial first look at it, I thought it was closer to the head, but more towards the shoulder there. But even with that being said, it's a little scary when you get something that's, 94, 95 going right at you. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Come on, Josh. Two pitch. And Naylor with a dribbler towards first base and foul. Yeah, well, it's not only just, left-handed pitching and the splits, but again, it's like, when you have guys that we need to be playing every day, Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone, and they end up going with, Connor Joe and Rob Refsnyder. Yeah, they were able to get a hit a couple days ago when we wore the steelhead uniforms and whatnot, but more times than not, I'd rather go with Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone the whole game. And, I'm sorry to say, pitches low and away, count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. I would rather just have Refsnyder and Joe never play. That's just me. I don't think they're good enough to play. Fuck the splits. And again, if, Raley and Canzone end up going 0 for 4, 0 for 5, I don't care. I'd rather have that than have, Refsnyder or Connor Joe or any other jobber player like that fucking play at all. You want to have your best players playing. That's just me. But when we get Victor Robles back, then, that would be a guy that you might be able to substitute in and you have some confidence. 3-2 pitch and a little dribbler up the middle. Throw to first. We leave 2 stranded, and that is out number 3. Let's go to the top of the 8th inning and see who's up next here for the Athletics. Next up for the A's, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a K in the 5 hole, shortstop Jacob Wilson. Batting second, 2 for 3 with a run and an RBI, second baseman Jeff McNeil. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a K, third baseman Max Muncy. Trident's up. Let's go M's. But it's very glaring, that the manager and the bullpen are huge weaknesses. And again, we need to be able to be more efficient with signing guys in the offseason in the pen, starting pitching and bullpen. We don't need to worry about any other fucking position besides, the starting pitching and the bullpen, and, bringing guys over and throwing them into the pen. So that way we can actually have a nice bullpen. I mean, the bullpen is going to win or lose you more games than any other position group. So why does every single team in MLB not really address that? Like some guys, will get a new closer, but then they end up having, like the Edwin Diaz situation. The Dodgers bring him in with a big payday, but then now he's going to be out 3 months. But they don't really, focus on just that, position alone. It's like they would rather get like another backup right fielder or another guy, playing backup first base. Fuck that. You need to be able to get more, starting pitchers and bullpen guys. Otherwise, you have meltdowns like we're having. Even our good guys today can't even get the job done, which is depressing. And now we're bringing in Cole Wilcox, who ends up being a AAA pitcher. And sometimes he'll be okay, but most of the time it's kind of scary with him out there. So we'll see what happens here, because again, this game could go from 4-2 to 6-2 in a heartbeat, especially when you have a AAA guy coming in that's filling in for Carlos Vargas. And, we know how Vargas is. Sometimes he would be good, but most of the time he wasn't. So, but at least on the bright side, even though that we're, not playing good baseball overall this year, everyone in our division in the AL West is playing garbage baseball. So at least we have that going, for us. We're only 2.5 games back right now. And again, Athletics are 12-11. We're 10-14. It stinks, but again, it's not like, there's a team right now that's 18-7 in the AL West. So we have to be thankful for that. Top of the 8th inning, 4-2 A's. Cole Wilcox enters the game to Jacob Wilson. First pitch, low and away. Slider, 85 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, fouls that one off. Sinker at 95 miles an hour by Jacob Wilson. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 8th, 4-2 A's. One pitch, dribbles it towards third base and foul. Top of the 8th inning, 4-2 Athletics. And plus also maybe expectations too high, based on being one of the last 3 teams left with the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. So, especially with the, bandwagon fans that hopped on just when we were doing well and whatnot. Remember, we did have a 20-year gap where we didn't make, the playoffs and had no chance of making it. So, you have to definitely be mentally tough to be a fan of this team. And if you're not, it may not be the team for you. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Jacob Wilson. Top of the 8th, 4-2 A's. And unfortunately, teams have caught on that, when they have lefties out there, we can't hit. And it's not just the good teams that are doing it to us. It's the bad teams. They're throwing anybody out there that's a lefty, even if the ERA is fucking 10. They feel that they're going to get our guys out, and more times than not, they do. Little dribbler up the middle. Young is there. Throw to first. Good defense there by Cole Young on the regular. And that is 1 away. But again, for a lot of us, I've been a fan since the mid-'80s, and there's been people in this room that have been fans since the beginning in the 70s, and some of you since the 90s, and others, within the last 5 years and whatnot. But, things will get better, but again, it definitely shows, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Like hitting was the big issue early on. Now the hitting is a little bit better, but now managing and the bullpen are really bad, and, and a line drive to Josh Naylor there by Jeff McNeil, thank God, and that is 2 away. But to be able to have good starting pitching, good bullpen, good hitting, and obviously being able to rely on the manager, to be able to make the right decision at the right time. It's just like we haven't really been able to get all the categories rolling in a lot of games this year. Now we have been able to do it in a few. It's not like it's not like we're 2-22 right now, or on a 12-game losing streak like the fucking Mets. Little dribble up the middle, and Rivas can't handle it. If that was Brandon Donovan, he probably makes that play. And Donnie being injured really hurts us as well, if we're really being honest. Nice hit there by Max Muncy that gets away from Leo Rivas on the deflection. And next up for the Athletics is Lawrence Butler. But when you don't have one of your, top hitters playing every day, Luke Raley, and then your other top hitter injured, Brendan Donovan, you can't really rely on everyone else every day to get it done. It's like you got Julio and you got Cal and you got Naylor, but they didn't start off very hot, and they're getting a little bit better now, with 24 games in, but, it's rough to say the least. And Garver is challenging this pitch. And ball is right down the middle, and Garver is 3 for 3 on ABS challenges. Good job there. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour, gets overturned to a strike. Imagine if we didn't have the ABS, and this ump would just be calling shit like that right down the middle and calling it a ball. 0-1 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Lawrence Butler. Yeah, and there's 162 games. Now, if there was only like 60 games, then you're really in trouble, but 162, there's still time, especially with the AL West being garbage. It's not like we're in the division of the NL Central. I mean, could you imagine? Then we would really be fucked, but, we still got time, even though things look bad. 2-1 pitch. Hard hit ball there by Butler into left field and foul. Four-seam fastball. 95 miles an hour there by Cole Wilcox. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning, 4-2 A's. But it really does show you how baseball is like one of the ultimate team sports. Obviously they talk about with football, being a team sport. Definitely, you have to have everything going the right way. Everyone has to be on the same page, but there's so many other factors in baseball, and again, it's so hard to hit a baseball and defend a baseball. Football and basketball are fucking easy. Hockey and baseball are extremely fucking hard. 3-2 pitch, high and away, and Cole Wilcox with a walk there to Lawrence Butler. Next up in the 9-hole, center fielder, Zach Geloff. But definitely by a long shot, the bullpen is the biggest weakness on this team, and scary how bad it is. I don't really trust Dan Wilson in his decision-making. We were the worst hitting team in baseball a couple weeks ago, but we're not anymore. We're going in the right direction. Instead of batting 188 as a team, we were hovering around 210 to 220 right now. But again, still not good enough, at this point. First pitch to Geloff by Cole Wilcox. Slider, 87 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, little dribbler towards third base and foul. No balls and 2 strikes to Zach Geloff. I mean, even calling up like, Cade Anderson and Ryan Sloan and throwing them in the pen, or Bryce Miller, it's like we need desperate help, and again, to get rid of some of the shitty pieces, like Cole Wilcox, and bringing guys in that eventually will be starters one day, Ryan Sloan or Cade Anderson. But it's like, man, if we could add those guys to the bullpen, how much better we would be. 0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Zach Geloff. And again, everyone thinking that, the A's and the Angels are easy. It's never easy when we play these teams. 1-2 pitch, high and inside, and he gets the strike 3 call. I'm not sure if that was strike 3, though. They're going to challenge it. It looks like it got a little piece of the corner, and hopefully that's what the pitch graph will say. It's high and inside, and it does get the piece of the corner. Nice job by Cole Wilcox. Crazy that Cole Wilcox, a AAA pitcher, outpitched Edward Bizzardo and Gabe Spire, 2 of our top 3 guys. Matt Brash is by far our best, but obviously we can't pitch Brash every game. All right, now we're down by 2 runs. Let's see if we can scrape up a little bit of a comeback here, and we can chip away. Let's see if we can get at least a run here in the bottom of the 8th and potentially tie it up in the 9th with a run, or if we're lucky enough, we can get 2 runs right here. Let's see who's up next for the Mariners. We just need a mini meltdown by one of their pitchers. Next up, 1 for 3, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Batting second, 0 for 3 with a K, shortstop J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a K, catcher Mitch Garver. And another thing, if you've noticed, we're not the greatest with 2 outs. We're not getting hit by pitches nearly as much as we did last year. We're not getting walked nearly as much. And that's a big part of the problem, because when you're not getting hit by pitches and you're not getting walks, you're not getting stolen bags and getting guys in the scoring position. So there's a number of things that we're doing wrong, obviously in the box, even though some guys have improved in the box with patience like Julio, but we haven't really been able to take advantage of bad pitching like we used to in the previous, few years. It just feels like most pitchers, regardless if they're a righty or a lefty, they're pretty clean against us. And obviously when we were the worst hitting team in baseball, it felt like they could pretty much throw anybody out there, even someone that's got an ERA above 10. And then you think, oh, we're going to rake and we're going to get 5 to 10 runs. And then we only get like 2 or 1. And you're like, holy hell, are we this bad? But, again, things have slightly improved. But again, magic number every game has to be 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. If you hit that number more times than not, you're going to win, especially if the pitching is somewhat good. But lately, we've had a hard time even getting to 3, and that's a problem. Bottom of the 8th, 4-2 A's, and also you got to give credit to the Athletics. They have a lot of talent, and again, they don't have Brent Rooker. We don't have Brendan Donovan, but Nick Kurtz is a fucking stud. Shea Langoliers is a stud. Jacob Wilson is a fucking stud. They have an up-and-coming team. Really, the only mistake for them was getting rid of Mason Miller, and we know how great he is, probably the best closer in baseball for the Padres. But other than that, they have a very bright future. First pitch to Randy Arozarena, high and away, but called strike. 4-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Jack Perkins. A righty, so at least we have a chance here. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes to Randy Arozarena. Hancock and Kirby and Hancock, Kirby, and Wu have all been really good. It's just that they haven't really gotten run support in every start. So Gilbert and Castillo have definitely been the worst. 0-2 pitch. And Randy pops it up. Should be a routine play here for the Athletics. Good communication there with Jacob Wilson saying, get the hell out of the way. And that is 1 away. And then finally, Castillo, normally giving up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 runs, finally pitches good and only gives up 2. And then what happens? The bats don't come alive for him. It's just a damn shame. And then the bullpen ends up letting us down again. Down goes Randy, and that is 1 away. Next up is J.P. Crawford, who is overdue for a home run. He only has 1. And like Julio Rodriguez, we definitely need some guys to cash in. First pitch to J.P. Crawford, big swing and a miss. Sweeper, 85 miles an hour, low and at the knees, 0-1 count. Come on, J.P. Someone needs to give us a little bit of a rally. Trident's up. 0-1 pitch from Perkins. High and away. Change up 90 miles an hour there by Jack Perkins. 1 ball and 1 strike to J.P. Crawford. We just need 1 mini meltdown. 1-1 pitch. And fouls it back to the T-Mobile bricks. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. And the Athletics usually walk a lot of guys, as well. So if you're going to be swinging at the first couple pitches, you're not really helping your team out, especially if they're having pitching woes. Maybe not as bad as the Astros, obviously, but 1-2 pitch. And that goes into foul territory and just ends up dropping, thank God. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. And Bryce Miller has been injured since spring training, and he's not due back for another month. And when he comes back, he probably won't be good for a month. If you go back from last year when Kirby missed 3 months and, Gilbert missed like a month and a half, it took a while for them to get good. 1-2 pitch. Pitch is high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. I think if you ended up bringing up Cade Anderson, he would be better than Bryce Miller initially. Obviously we know Cade is a phenom, and we're going to have to, eventually kind of, ease him in. But I think that he'll be more electric than even Ryan Sloan, who's got some potential in the farm as well. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Come on, J.P. But we definitely need Colt Emerson as well. 3-2 pitch, pops it up into shallow center field. and that is 2 away. But, we need a shot in the arm. Colt Emerson would be great, to add on to the team, to give us a little bit of juice. And same thing with Cade Anderson. Even if they want Cade at some point to be a starter, you can start him in the pen. I mean, we see how terrible our pen is. Down goes JP, and that is 2 away. Next up, 1 for 3 with a K, catcher Mitch Garver. Another individual that is due for a home run, as well as Leo Rivas. They have not homered yet. First pitch to Garver, pops it up, and that is in deep right field. Butler is there, and that is out number 3. All right, we only have one last chance, bottom of the 9th, and we'll see if we have anything going at that point. End of the 8th inning, 4-2 Athletics. Just kind of sucks. Castillo pitched well, and Bizzardo and, Gabe Spire might be the reason that we lose this game besides the bats, from the Mariner players. Let's see who's up next here for the A's. Next up for the A's, 0 for 3 with a run and a base on ball and a K, first baseman Nick Kurtz. Batting second, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a base on ball. Catcher Shea Langoliers leading the team with 8 homers. Do not fucking pitch to him down the middle, damn it. And batting third, who had a career game yesterday going 4 for 5. Today, 1 for 4 with a K, DHing Carlos Cortez. Trident's up. Let's go M's. And again, we ended up being down 6-3 yesterday, and we rallied with Cole Young and Leo Rivas. Rivas had a big RBI, scoring Young from first. And again, we're not down at this point, 3, and we ended up losing 6-4, but something has to give. $56 subs to go to 23,900, 156 to get to 24,000. We are approaching 6 million views on the channel, which is great since we just hit 5 million a few months ago. End of the 8th inning, 4-2 A's. All right, we're at 163 likes, 37 to 200. They still got Wilcox out there, the AAA pitcher that ended up coming up for Carlos Vargas. And Legomina got sent down after his shitty outing last night to AAA. First pitch to Nick Kurtz, takes a strike looking with a sweeper right down the middle, 85 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Kurtz pops it up and out of play, about 10 rows back. Nice souvenir for that fan there. Change up 87 miles an hour there by Cole Wilcox. No balls and 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. Oh-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Nick Kurtz. One-two pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Wilcox to Kurtz. Top of the 9th inning, 4-2 A's. Now we have a early afternoon start tomorrow with Logan Gilbert on the mound at 1:10 Pacific, so adjust accordingly. 2-2 pitch. Hard hit ball into deep right field. Blooper that goes right in front of Luke Raley. Nice single there from Nick Kurtz. Second on the team with 3 home runs, and he broke out last year. Started off a little slow, but again, when you end up playing teams that are struggling like Seattle, sometimes you'll be able to get a little bit better moving forward. Next up in the 2-hole with 8 home runs, 1 today, catcher Shea Langoliers. And if you pitch right down the middle, he will pay. We said that about Gabe Spire. What did he do? Throw it right down the middle, and he homered. He's got a home run yesterday and a home run today. You got to be very careful. And hell, if you throw it right down the middle tomorrow with Logan Gilbert, he'll homer off him too. You got to recognize when guys are hot. First pitch is fouled off by Shea Langoliers, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and a base on ball. And normally he's not the guy that leads the team in homers, but this year he's gotten really smart in the box. And he's got some really good power as well. 0-1 pitch. Ends up being a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike to Shea Langoliers. Sinker 97 miles an hour, high and inside. 1-1 pitch and a little blooper. And of course, we can't get to it. That's just our luck. And now we got runners at first and second. Kurtz at second. Langoliers at first. This is what happens when you bring in a AAA pitcher, even though he did pretty good in the 8th. Now we're in the 9th. Next up in the 3-hole, DHing Carlos Cortez. And then a mound visit there by Garver, trying to get Cole Wilcox right. But again, you can't really expect too much out of him. He's a AAA pitcher, and that's what he is, and sometimes he'll pitch well, like in the 8th and not give up anything. And now in the 9th, you got runners at first and second with no outs. And in a matter of a couple minutes, this game could be 8-2. So hopefully we can find a way for him to get a strikeout and a double play, and we'll have somewhat of a chance to try to catch up in the bottom of the 9th. First pitch to Carlos Cortez, high and away, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike to Carlos Cortez. Top of the 9th inning, runners at first and second with no outs. A's up 4-2 here in the top of the 9th. One pitch, little dribbler towards third base and foul. Sinker 96 miles an hour, there by Cole Wilcox. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and no outs. Top of the 9th inning, 4-2 A's. One-two pitch, little dribbler towards first base and foul. And after, how good the Blue Jays and the Mariners did last season, being one of the, final 3 teams, obviously with the Dodgers, obviously Blue Jays have a lot of injured players, but their season is going sideways just like ours. So, and the AL West is not good. So at least we have that going. But again, it still is painful, to watch a team that, should be doing a little bit better than this, struggling early on. 1-2 pitch, little slow dribbler up the middle, get it. And Wilcox ends up running himself, toe tap on the bag, and that is 1 away. Runners advance to second and third. Next up in the 4-hole, having a good game today, left fielder Tyler Soderstrom. All right, they're intentionally walking Tyler. All right, automatic intentional walk there for Tyler. Now they got bases loaded with 1 out. What could go wrong, Mariner fans? Next up, for the Athletics, 5-hole hitter Jacob Wilson. Got to be careful here. First pitch to Wilson, big swing and a miss. Slider 88 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 1 for 4 with an RBI and a K. Wilson's a very crafty defender as well as in the box. We desperately need a double play to get out of this. 0-1 pitch, low and away. Slider 89 miles an hour there by Cole Wilcox. 1 ball and 1 strike with bases loaded and 1 out. Top of the 9th inning, 4-2 A's. To have any chance of coming back, we have to keep this at a 2-run deficit. 1-1 pitch, little blooper, and it drops. And now they're going to score how many runs here? And a big RBI there by Jacob Wilson. And this one is essentially over. 5-2 A's. Brutal. Should have probably just pitched to Soderstrom, but Kurt scored. Soderstrom to second. Langoliers to third. And I guess when it rains, it pours. Next up is Jeff McNeil, the former Met. And he's probably happy he's no longer there. 12-game losing streak for the Mets. Could be worse for us Mariner fans. We could be Met fans. First pitch from Wilcox to McNeil. Fouls that one off. Low and away. 0-1 count. Top of the ninth inning. Bases loaded with one out. 0-1 pitch. Little dribbler towards first base and foul. Change up 89 miles an hour there by Cole Wilcox. No balls and two strikes with bases loaded and one out. Top of the ninth, 5-2 Athletics with Jeff McNeil, the former Met, in the box. Oh-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss, and down goes McNeil, and that is 2 away. Next up in the 7-hole, third baseman Max Muncy. First pitch to Muncy with the little check swing. Did he go? And he did. Slider 87 miles an hour down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, high and inside. Did he go? No, he did not. 1 ball and 1 strike to Max Muncy. One pitch inside. 2 balls and 1 strike from Wilcox to Muncy. Two-one pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Muncy. 2 balls and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 2 outs. Top of the ninth inning, 5-2 A's. Alex Hoppe, who just got called up for Casey Legomina this morning, warming up in the pen. 2-2 pitch, a little dribbler behind the plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 2 outs. Top of the ninth inning, 5-2 A's. Two pitch. Low and away. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Wilcox to Muncy. ABS challenge here for Garver, who's 3 for 3 so far today. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God. 0.1 off. Holy hell. You can't miss it by any closer than that. 0.1? Yikes. 3-2 pitch to Muncy. And a little dribbler that goes foul. Count still full. 3 balls and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 2 outs. Top of the ninth, 5-2 Athletics. Three-two pitch. Big swing and a miss. There we go. And we're still down by 3, and the chance of coming back and even scoring 1 is probably slim to none. But again, we'll see what happens here in the bottom of the ninth. Let's see if we get some type of rally here by the Mariners. Let's see who's up next for Seattle. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Leading off for the Mariners in the 8-hole, 1 for 3, second baseman Cole Young. And if you remember in the bottom of the ninth, he was the one that kind of got things going for us in the rally. Obviously getting a single. Obviously Leo Rivas getting the big RBI to knock him in to take the score from 6-3 to 6-4. Batting second, 0 for 3. third baseman Leo Rivas. And Young and Rivas were both 0 for 3 last night, and they both ended up getting on base. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a K, will be Luke Raley. So, I mean, if we can find a way, somehow, some way, for Young to get on with a walk or a single, Rivas to get on with a walk, single, or an RBI, and then Luke Raley homers, and then we tie the game up 5-5, I know it's a big what if, but, you got guys that potentially could, help us. But again, it's going to be extremely tough, especially if they bring on a lefty from the pen. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 55 subs to go to 23,900. All right, we got 170 likes, 30 to 200. First pitch from Perkins to Cole Young. And we already got an ABS challenge. Oh, 1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Low away. No balls and 2 strikes to Cole Young. 0-2 pitch. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Perkins to Young. Come on, Cole. I mean, there's a number of problems for the Mariners. It's not just the bullpen. It's the hitters. It's the bullpen. It's Dan Wilson. Big swing and a miss for Cole. And then we finally actually get good pitching out of Castillo, and we can't even win for him. So it's just, it's one thing and then the next. It was hitting at the beginning of the year, and then the bullpen is a big problem, and then, certain things get fixed, and then certain guys end up being a little bit worse. And then Brendan Donovan got hurt. The communication, on defense isn't the greatest. We can't steal bags. We can't play small ball. We can't bunt. We're not getting walked. We're not getting hit. It's just, there's a number of things that are going wrong with this team. It's not just one single thing. And again, you can't win a whole lot of games scoring fucking 2. You got to get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits. And again, if you don't get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, you're not going to compete in that many games. I mean, every once in a while, you'll have those grinded out games where you can win 1-0, 2-1. But, in most cases, if we play in a game like that, we're not going to win more times than not. 1-0 pitch, fouls it off by Dominic Canzone. Great to see Dom actually get an at-bat. One ball and 1 strike to Dominic Canzone. One pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. Big swing and a miss for Dom. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. Bottom of the 9th with nobody on and 1 out. Let's see if Canzone can do something here. Two pitch from Perkins to Canzone. Low and at the knees. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes from Perkins to Canzone. And Canzone pops one up into shallow center field. And that is 2 away. But it really hurts not having Brendan Donovan in the lineup on the daily, when he's your best hitter besides Luke Raley and you don't have access to him. Missing 2 games with the growing, 2 games with the flu, and now multiple games with the growing. And he dealt with that on the Cardinals. First pitch in there to Luke Raley. 0-1 count. But it really shows you how dominant Brendan Donovan was, as a leadoff hitter, and not having access is really hurting us. 0-1 pitch. Little dribbler here towards first base, and foul. No balls and 2 strikes from Perkins to Raley. Bottom of the 9th, 5-2 Athletics. And we play tomorrow at 1:10 Pacific with Logan Gilbert on the mound. Hopefully he pitches, good, and we can get to 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, and prevent the sweep. It'd be really nice if we could do what we did against the Rangers, against the Athletics. But again, when we play the A's and the Angels, it's never fucking easy, regardless if we have a good record or not. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. One-two pitch. Little dribbler towards first base and foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Ownership should have definitely did a hell of a lot more for the bullpen in the offseason. The Jose Ferrer for Harry Ford is looking like definitely an L. Even if Harry Ford doesn't play at all, Ferrer is not good. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Luke Raley, and that is out number 3. Congratulations to the Athletics for winning this game as they did yesterday. 5-2 here tonight. Unfortunate for Luis Castillo because he pitched so well. But again, hard to win games when you only put up a 2. And we got to hope tomorrow with Logan Gilbert on the mound at 1:10 Pacific that we play a hell of a lot better. Final score, Athletics 5, Mariners 2. Shout out to all the individuals that liked, sub, donated, commented, and shared. And I feel that we will play better tomorrow, and unfortunate that we were playing so poorly. Obviously Bizzardo and Spire, giving up runs as well as Cole Wilcox. And again, Castillo had a good game. Let's go over the stat line here real quick before we end up leaving. All right, Nick Kurtz ended up going 1 for 4 with 2 runs. Shea Langoliers 2 for 4, homering yesterday and today, now with 8 home runs. Logan Gilbert, make sure you're aware of that. Carlos Cortez going 4 for 5 yesterday, going 1 for 5 today. Tyler Soderstrom going 2 for 4 with a run. Jacob Wilson going 2 for 5. Jeff McNeil 2 for 5 and a home run. Max Muncy going 2 for 5. Lawrence Butler 0 for 3, and Zach Geloff 1 for 4. And then starting the game off with Rob Refsnyder 1 for 3, and then Luke Raley pinch hitting late in the game going 0 for 2. A bright spot for the Mariners, Cal Raleigh going 2 for 3 and actually getting a home run in the game, which was nice. Julio Rodriguez, going 2 for 3. Josh Naylor going 0 for 2. Randy Arozarena going 1 for 4. JP Crawford going 0 for 4. Mitch Garver going 1 for 4. Cole Young 1 for 4, and Leo Rivas 0 for 3. And Leo is more of a AAA player, but if you actually look at the Tacoma Rainiers with the lineup that they have, they don't really have anyone that we can bring up besides Colt Emerson, and Colt Emerson is injured right now. So, the lineup is very thin in the AAA squad at the moment. And then Dominic Canzone getting a chance to pinch hit there late, going 0 for 1. And then obviously we know with Luis Castillo, he finally doesn't give up 7, 8, 9, 10 runs. But what happens? We can't win. We can't get any hits, and the bullpen let us down. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. And he had 95 pitches and 62 strikes. It definitely was one of the top 2 outings for him. But again, really hard for us to get starting pitching, bullpen, and hitting to all hit in the same game. And, it is what it is. And we just got to be able to be a little bit better. Lopez gets the win. Bizzardo gets the loss. Perkins gets the save. And we got to play better tomorrow. Just plain and simple. Love you guys and I appreciate you guys. Final score, Athletics 5, Mariners 2. And I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Tridents up, and let's go Mariners.